Podcast with Evan Lazar and Alex Barth.
I'm Evan Lazar. Evan Lazar.
Hello, everybody.
Nailed it. Joined as always by Alex Barth. That's a fit. That's a match.
No risk it, no biscuit. 22. Here is Evan Lazar and Alex Barth.
There's certain nights and days that it's okay to let the other sports have their day.
My bigger issue is part of what's great about the NFL is the rarity of it. That's always been what's great. It shouldn't be on every day of the week. I get they want to be on every day of the week, but you're getting rid of, and maybe the NFL's too big to fail. Maybe. I don't want them to test it.
Yeah.
Look, they're never going to be baseball playing 162 games, but one of baseball's biggest problems is there's no urgency in watching baseball. And now you're doubling up on the primetime games. The special thing about it's prime time. It's everybody. It's all eyes on you. That's a cool thing.
Catch-22.
Well, Alex, you're going to be able to watch the Patriots in prime time 5 times, right?
At least.
5 times at least next season. We just keep rolling along here this offseason. This is the second time that the Patriots have gone to the Super Bowl since we've been covering the team. But this is the first time that I've done it as in my current role. And plus, I'm older now, wiser, hopefully, a little bit. And it just is interesting that, when you go to the Super Bowl and you cover the team all the way through the Super Bowl, the offseason just goes like this. The condensing of the offseason is, I feel like we haven't really stopped because everything, the combine was a couple weeks after the Super Bowl. Free agency is a couple weeks after that. The draft is a couple weeks after that. Now the NFL has turned the schedule release into a spectacle. So then that's a couple weeks after that. And then next week on Wednesday, we're going to be out there for the first OTA practice, and we're going to do the whole spring circuit all the way through June with it mini camp, June 15th through the 17th. So I like it. I get antsy. I'm not the type of person that wants nothing to do. I don't want to be sitting around doing nothing all the time. I don't like that. I want to be moving. I want things to do. I want things to cover. That's why we do this and not make more money in a 9-to-5 sitting in a cubicle somewhere. So I just feel like it's a very different vibe. The last 2 off seasons before this, at this point in the off season, I was like, oh my God, how much more time do we have until training camp? We still aren't there yet. Now it's boom, 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 right after another. We have another thing to talk about and digest today with the schedule. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, well, it's not just us. It's definitely not a media thing. Bill Belichick, after the Super Bowl, was it 2018 when he said
it? Yes, 28. I mean, he said it a million times. He loves to say it.
We're what, 5-6 weeks behind everybody else on the offseason, and I said it afterwards. The offseason was going to be a sprint, not a marathon. Here we are. You're right. It's been go. It's settled down a little bit. I got to play some golf over the weekend. That was
congratulations.
Nice. Thank you very much.
Very
I appreciate that.
Very happy for you.
Thank you. You would enjoy it.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, it is moving pretty quickly.
I love it. Like I said, part of one of the best parts of doing this job is that it's not monotonous. Things change all the time. It's not a 9-to-5 Monday through Friday. You're not in one location all the time, either working from home or working in a cubicle somewhere. You're always on the move. You're out traveling. You're doing different things. To me, that's the most fun part of the job. From a logistical standpoint, obviously the most fun part of the job is the games and getting to go to all the games. But in terms of actually the day in and day out of it, so we're going to talk about the schedule. Obviously, it's our first show since the Patriots schedule officially came out. So we already knew the opponents. Now we know the order of the opponents, what days the games will be on, what times the game will be on. I want to break out the things that got brought up at this time of year, Alex, that we already kind of knew, but now we just have an excuse to talk about them more. And then the things that we actually learned last Thursday when the schedule was released, because I think those are 2 separate buckets. And then we also want to do some tiers about which games fit into which tiers. So I have 4 tiers, I believe I broke it up to. Must wins or layup games they should win, coin flip games, and then the toughies, the ones that are going to be tough games. So we're going to do those 2 things. And then, of course, we'll take your calls, your emails. We'll talk some A.J. Brown, some OTAs probably, preview to next week. But let's start with the schedule. So by now, I'm sure everybody has actually seen the schedule. So I don't think we need to go through the entire schedule game by game. But a couple of the things sticking to the things that we actually learned last week, not the things that we knew already, but the things we actually learned. Like I said off the top of the show, they got 5 primetimers, right? 5 primetime games if you include the opener. So yeah, the opener in Seattle, Thursday night football against the Bears, Sunday night football against the Chargers, Thursday night football against the Vikings, Monday night football against the Chiefs. So as anticipated, I would say a bump in scheduled primetime games. I do find it a bit quirky that they're playing one Wednesday and 2 Thursdays, right?
Yes.
And I know the Wednesday one's the first game of the year, so it's a little bit different. But 2 Thursday night games in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
No, I mean, the league threw out a lot of conventional scheduling this year and things that I honestly just assumed were rules. I guess I never really knew. Like there's 5 teams without a primetime game this year.
Yeah.
That's where you used to have every team played on Thursday night. So it kind of just netted out. But yeah, and 4 or 5 primetime games on the road.
Yeah.
Too. So they did not get any favors with what are among their hardest games. Outside of Buffalo, I cannot believe the Buffalo games are not in prime time.
Yeah,
I'm going to choose to blame the Bills for that.
I'm assuming that, I don't know the excuse for the first one in week 4. The second one, I'm assuming CBS protected that
right,
game.
it's that 4:25 game of the week.
Right, so that's going to be Jim
But
Nantz
all the
and
more
Tony
reason,
Romo
I mean, at Buffalo feels that, new stadium, Patriots first trip there, that should have been the Sunday night football opener. But yeah, they got no favors with a lot of their hardest games.
So we already knew about the international game on last Wednesday's show, so we don't have to talk too much about that. But if you're into the whole standalone island window, you are the only show in town. They technically have 6 of those because they have the international game too on top of the 5 prime times. The one nice thing about a couple of nice things about the schedule, the week 11 bye, they have a little bit of an earlier bye this year. It was 2 years in a row. It was week 14 bye, right? The latest week possible. 2 years in a row. So week 11 sandwiched right in between the Germany game in Munich against the Lions and the Chargers game in the LA trip. I would just say, just putting all these things together, the Thursday night games and the primetime games on the road are tough. Like those are long nights, long days. Like they play the game. They usually have about an hour after the game to shower up and get dressed and get changed and get on the bus. And then we get the bus and then we get the plane and then we come back. So those are a grind. Road primetime games are not easy. Road primetime games on short weeks are especially not easy. International travel. The Chargers game, in the Seahawks game, I would assume the team is probably going to leave a little bit earlier for those games. So it's going to be a lot. But a week 11 bye is a little bit better than that week 14 bye they've had the last couple years. They also have 0 games against opponents coming off a bye week. So their net rest differential, which I know is a big fancy thing this time of year, they have the 5th best net rest days. So they are in the plus in terms of that.
Right.
Part of that is because you open the season on a Wednesday and then don't play again till the following Sunday. You have 2 Thursday nighters. So you have long weeks after that. So they ended up, coming out on the positive end of that. So better bye week, some rest, days built in there that other teams don't necessarily have, but a full gamut of primetime games. And then we get into sort of the minutia of the schedule that we already knew, but we get to talk about more now.
Right.
Which is how much harder the schedule is this year compared to last year. I still think that this is a schedule, Warren Sharp's numbers have it at the 12th easiest schedule in the NFL. I don't go by last year's win percentage. I think that that's a bad way to do it because this league, more than maybe any other sports league, swings so much year to year of how teams perform that I don't really care how any of the teams, including the Patriots, played last year. So the 12th easiest schedule in terms of what Warren Sharp computes it, average wins for their opponents. I think the big one though is that right now, and granted, again, this is forecasting or projecting, but right now they're projected to play 10 teams that will have a 500 or better record. So a winning record nowadays because you can't be 500. 10 teams. Last year, they only played 3 of those games, and 2 of them were Buffalo, right?
Right.
So, that to me is the biggest difference is that it's not necessarily that I look at this schedule and say they can't win certain games. I think they are all winnable to an extent. But this is a much harder schedule in terms of week in and week out. They're going to be challenged in a lot of these games. So going from 3 to 10 is a big jump up. And, we'll get into sort of the next exercise here with the layups and the coin flips and all that kind of stuff. But just on the surface, I just think that needs to be noted. 10 games against winning teams with a projected winning record and 27,000 miles of travel.
Yeah.
That if they take a step back this year, I think it's as much about all that kind of stuff as it is the team actually being worse on the field. Maybe they're only a 9 or 10 win team instead of a 14 win team because of the way that the schedule broke for them this time.
Well, this goes back to something we talked about last year for me. And when you talk about, again, the number, and I think the schedule ends up harder because of some of the days that because the way it's structured with like primetime games and stuff, right? And the bye and all of that, I think makes it a little more tricky. This is where we go back to something we talked about last year with Mike Vrabel, the program.
Yeah.
How strong is your program? They have, and this is where, again, knowing the opponents, but the schedule coming out kind of can change how you view it. They play the Wednesday opener. They then have 5 Sunday 1 o'clock games. And they're relatively easy games. Easier. It's the easier part of their schedule. Steelers, Jaguars, Bills, Raiders, Jets.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a chance there to build a little bit of a routine, build a little momentum, build a little bit of a rhythm. After that Week 6 game against the Jets, that's on October 18th. They are not scheduled to play another Sunday 1 p.m. game until December 27th.
Yeah.
So that's 10 weeks. On top of that, not only do they not have a Sunday 1 p.m. game, within that stretch, they only play at the same date and time, back-to-back weeks, once. And it's Week 8 at Miami, Week 9 versus the Packers. Both of those are Sunday 4:25 games. I'm a big proponent that the NFL has started to kind of kill the 4 o'clock window, and I hate that, and they should put more games there, even if they're not West Coast home teams. That being said, I don't know why Patriots-Dolphins is in that, but it is. But the point being, those first 5, really 4 weeks, weeks 3 to 6, because you're not going to have your normal routine going into that Steelers game. You're coming off a Wednesday game. It is going to be so important for them to find their rhythm, find their routine, build their momentum, because there is no routine once that ends. That's it. It's out the door. And that's where you lean on, to go back to what we talked about so much when Mike Vrabel was hired, the program.
Yeah.
Right? Knowing here's how we go about recovery. Here's how we go about training. Here's how we go about practice. Here's how we go about game planning. Here's how we go about this and that. Because it's not going to be, you're not going to be able to do, all right, Monday we're going to, do recap and recovery. Tuesday's a full recovery day. Coaches and game plan. Wednesday, we're going to come in and get most of it installed. Thursday's going to be this. Friday's going to be... No, there is none of that.
Yeah.
You go Thursday night, Sunday afternoon. Got to go to Germany Sunday morning, bye, come back Sunday night. And by the way, Munich to LA, even with a bye in the middle, is not an easy trip. You go Sunday night, Sunday afternoon, Thursday night, Monday night to Sunday. There's very little chance, if any, for routine in there. So that's where you're leaning on Vrabel. You're leaning on some of these veterans. I don't know why my voice is going right now. I haven't talked that much today. That's where you're leaning on them to try to kind of build whatever you built last year, continue that momentum, because they're going to play. It's the Jets one, right? I keep forgetting Raiders, Jets, back-to-back Jets. They're going to play that Jets game Week 6, Sunday 1 o'clock. We are going to blink, and it is going to be Christmas.
Yeah.
And so just having a structure and a culture and a program to fall back on, it's a real stress test of that. And we're going to see how it comes out on the other side.
Usually I'm the one that losing my voice all the time. My voice is terrible.
I don't know what just happened.
I'm constantly losing it. The pitches, it just can't control it. Nothing you can do.
Can you get...
You're just so excited, Evan. I understand.
Yeah.
I'm always excited talking about the program part of it.
You are. Oh yeah, your pants off.
That's why I hire a coach, not whoopsie-doo. We look at the playbook.
But, you know what my favorite game on the schedule is?
What?
Oh, the Thursday night in Chicago. Because it's just my
we'll get to that.
It's just perfect. I mean, it's our Super Bowl. It's Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel.
It
is our Super Bowl.
We'll get to that.
Our philosophies are going to be going against each other on the field.
And it's crammed on a Thursday night.
I know that is a bummer, but I can't wait for that
Can you
game.
get allergies as an adult? Like, I've never had
Yes.
allergies my whole life.
You're
It's
lucky.
never been an issue for me. And this year, I'm feeling a little scratchier.
Yeah, I mean, just like take like a Zizal or something.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, so like at our age, like, when I was younger, I had really bad allergies and I'd have to take like prescription like Flonase and stuff like that. Now Flonase is over the counter actually, but it's not the same. Shit's not as good, man.
It's never even been remotely an issue for me.
It's not as good. It's not the same because they lowered it a little bit, the potency, to
Okay.
make it over the counter.
No, I'm just saying, I've
And
never
so
had
It's not like the same. It doesn't hit the same anymore.
never even really a sniffle because of pollen. It's never been an issue for me.
So I've always
I'd
had
be
really
bummed
This
if
is
I
growing
lose
up,
that.
Alex. This is growing up, pal.
That was
Welcome to
point of
it.
pride. I thought you were
I
just
always had
allergic or
really
you're
bad
not.
allergies. No, I always had really bad allergies, really bad asthma, but especially this time of year. But now, yeah, I just take a Zizal or Claritin or something like that once a day. This time of year, you're fine. So go. It's expensive though. That part stinks.
I can also just tough it out.
It's like
I'll
$25.
probably just tough it out.
Back to the schedule. I think that that is my biggest concern is what you just outlined. I know a lot of people are bringing up the traveling and the 27,000 miles. I got to tell you, I'm not as concerned about that. The way that they travel now, this ain't like you're not flying coach, right?
The bigger thing for me,
I'm telling you though, their staff, like their football support staff, the strength and conditioning, the medical side, all of it, like they get these players ready and rested and comfortable on those planes. Trust me. Like it's not you're not flying like you would in a commercial airline like you and I. So I'm not really as concerned about the travel aspect of it.
when it comes to travel,
Yeah.
the thing I look at, traveling on a short week is tough because you lose a day.
Yes.
So here's
Well,
two places I look
but
at travel.
It's the routine of it. Like the routines getting thrown off of kickoffs are at different time, different days.
No, just when you talk about like things like that. The other one, time zones. And again, it's
Yeah.
Detroit. I know they have the bye, but Detroit back LA that's a lot. That's the biggest. If you want to talk about like
the buy kind of washes it out.
it
They'll be
helps,
fine.
but if you want to talk about where's the biggest concern for me about travel on this schedule, it's not the total number
It's
of
the-
miles. It's that they got a road Thursday night game, which is never ideal. I know they have a
Yeah.
home win too, but they got a road Thursday night game, which is never ideal. And they're crossing like 6 time. Is it 6 time zones in a span of 2 weeks? I don't know what time zone Munich is in.
I don't know either. But I would say that the
Is all of
biggest
Germany one time zone?
the biggest thing is the routine element of it that I would be worried about. Different days, different time zones, different continents, like all these different things that change, right?
In a span of 3 weeks, if I counted this correctly, according to DaytonTime.com, they will be in 8 time zones.
Yeah. So that element of it is tough. That's a and when the schedule came out, I think a lot of people pointed to the first 4 games of the season looking, like they could be pretty tough, opening in
Yeah.
Seattle, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Buffalo. 7 out of 11 of their first games on the road was another big stat that people kept throwing out. To me, when I saw the schedule, because I'm thinking of it from this angle more than anything else, it was the middle of the schedule. It was from that Thursday night in Chicago against the Bears to the Monday night game in Kansas City, where it's different times, different time zones, different countries, right? Like you're just all over the map. Primetime games, Thursday night games, Monday night games. That can be, this isn't practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, travel Saturday, game Sunday. This is a whole
Very little of that.
different animal, and that can be difficult. Let's play the game. Let's do our tiers. So you did your tiers.
Let's hear it. I guess it's my tiers.
No, it's your tiers, and we can't steal the bit. Like we don't want to completely steal the bit.
I mean, I told Matt. So this happened. Like I was working on this thing, and I needed a headline. I couldn't come up with a headline, and Matt Dolph and Ty Anderson are both better at that than me. So I texted them, and Dolph just texted me back, "You did Maz's tiers." I was like, "Whoops, didn't mean to do that."
Okay, so my buckets are maybe slightly different than yours were, but we can kind of make it work.
To explain the exercise, basically the idea I had was everybody does the record prediction, right? You go through win, loss, and I'd already done that. And to your point earlier, like we need stuff to talk about this time of year. So it's like, what's another way to look at this? So take a step out instead of like directly defining every game. Just for instance, I had them at 11-6 when I was going through it. When I did that exercise, you can check that out at 985sportshub.com. But there's like, then it goes to, okay, well, are they closer to 12-5 or closer to 10-7? And which games are the coin flips and which games are most likely to change? So I decided to characterize it that way. So I did 5 categories. Number 1, should be a win, no excuses. Yeah. There's just, if they lose one of these games, something went horribly wrong. Nothing short of that. Then I did probably a win, and I have 4 games in there. Probably a win, but weirder things have happened, which is I'm expecting them to win. They should be favored, but there's maybe 1 or 2 variables that are like, okay, there's going to be something to deal with. They should still win, but there's a little something to deal with that is going to require some extra attention. The 4 games there. Coin flip, I had 3 games. That's pretty self-explanatory. I could see those games going either way, maybe slight edge one or the other, but I really feel like those are the toss-ups. Then I did probably a loss, but games that can be stolen. So this is maybe a tough spot. History of the matchup, something like that. Like they might be the underdog and they could steal it. It should be close, maybe within a field goal, but it's going to be a slightly tougher game. I had 3 games in that category. And then uphill battle, I had 3 games. These are the ones that they're going to be underdogs in. They're going to it's an uphill battle. This is one that is going to be really tough. These are the toughest games on their schedule. I just wanted to set them apart from the games that can be stolen because this is really it's like a wow moment. They come away from that. Could be a statement win.
Okay, so I just made your thing more efficient by doing 4 buckets. So I had must-win / layups. Like these are the freebies. These are the cupcakes, as Dan Shaughnessy would say, right? Like this is tomato cans, whatever phrase he uses. These are the layups, and I had 3 teams, 5 games in those. There should be wins. So not quite tomato cans, but if you come in, you play a professional game and you put your best foot forward and you take care of business as a good football team, these are the games you should win, right? Coin flips. This is my biggest group here. I had 5 coin flip games when I went through this. And then I just had the tough ones, like the ones that if they win, like your point, really good win, statement kind of win, season defining kind of win. So I think we're probably on the same page with the tomato cans or the cupcakes or the layups or whatever you want to call them. My only real take on it, other than the games, which is the 2 games against the Dolphins and Jets. So those are 4 games, right? Yeah. And then the game against the Raiders. Those 5 games, to me, being layups, like those are must-win games because if you're going to really inflate your record, you have to beat up on these bad teams, just like they did last year. But if you win all 5 of these games, you really only have to go 500 the rest of the way to be a playoff team.
Right.
That's 5 games. You play 17. So if you go 6-6 the rest of the way, you just won 11 games, right? Like you're going to be in the playoffs with 11 wins. You might not win the division, but you're going to be in the playoffs.
I kind of have a breakdown like that too. I was going to do it after, but my idea is you win all 4 of the games that you should win.
5.
Well, no, in mine.
Oh, you have a game. You think that they could lose to either the Jets or the Dolphins or the Raiders?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll go through. You win all 4 of the games that you should win.
Yeah.
You win at least 3 of the 4 probably should win, but weirder things have happened. You get 1 slip up over the course of the season, basically.
Yeah.
So that puts you at 7. I have 3 coin flips. If you can win 2 of those, you're at 9. And then between my 2 hard game categories, I have 6. You win 1 of those 5 tough games. So all the ones you should win, 3 of the 4 you probably should. 2 coin flips in a hard game gets you to 10-7. You're probably a playoff team.
Yeah.
And that's a baseline.
So Jets -- 2.
Yeah.
Dolphins × 2. Raiders. I have all 5 of those games in the layup, cupcake, tomato can division.
So I had the at Dolphins in the probably a win category just because of their history in Miami. So, and even last year, remember that game was like close and weird.
It was close and weird, but it was before the wheels came off in Miami. It was early in the season. It was hot as hell down there. Tua was still healthy. Mike McDaniel wasn't fired yet or on the way out. Their whole season hadn't come apart yet. So at that point, Miami was still a team that I think people thought wasn't a contender, but could maybe be a little frisky, right? And then the wheels really came off the team. And what we know they're thinking now of the Dolphins wasn't what they were in week 2 when the Patriots played them last year. I just look at both the Jets and the Dolphins, and less so with the Raiders. Like, I think the Raiders actually, to me, are better on paper than the Jets and Dolphins
Well, it
right
depends
now.
what you think of Mendoza, basically.
And I think Mendoza is much better than what the Dolphins and Jets are throwing out there at quarterback. But that being said, I have a hard time excusing them losing to teams that are actively tanking. Those teams are actively trying to lose. Like, they don't want to win football
There were
games.
years where they were actively trying to tank in the Patriots, albeit under different coaches. The Patriots still struggled again, the way I categorize that, I'll read you the exact description that I wrote. Probably a win, but weirder things have happened. The games where the Patriots should be fairly favored, but there's one or two variables that have a chance to trip them up. The at Miami thing historically has been that. That is why I feel like by my own definition, I have to put them there. It's the easiest. And for what it's worth.
If it was in September, I would agree because it's going to.
No, see, I think it's harder in November because it's getting cold here. And then
I don't think so at all because down there in November, it's going to be like 70, 75 degrees.
It's the shock to the system of.
I think it's way harder to play down there in September.
I think it's easier in early November than it is in late December. I think you want it to be as middle as possible, but I still put it there. And for what it's worth, within the categories I ranked them, so for instance, and this should be a win, the home game against the Dolphins is in theory their easiest game. It's just week 18. Assuming everybody plays that, if they have everything locked up and they sit people, whatever. I think that's their easiest game. Then versus the Jets, then versus the Raiders, then at the Jets. So if we're going easiest to hardest, then I have the Dolphins is the easiest in that next category.
Okay. So I have the 4 games against the Jets and Dolphins and the Raiders.
Okay.
Layups, cupcakes, tomato cans, you're 5-0 if you just take care of business in those games.
Yeah.
Gotta have them. Gotta have them, in my opinion. This should be wins. So I'll give this like a 75 to 80% chance that they're going to win these games if they stay out of their own way and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I think they should beat the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I have the Steelers in that category.
I'd actually be pretty disappointed if they lost to that corpse twice in a row.
I have this. I mean, they turned the ball over 5 times last year and almost beat them.
Yeah.
I have the Steelers. So again, I put them in order legitimately easiest to hardest. So I have the Dolphins leading off my probably win category. I have the Steelers as the next easiest game. And although they're in the same category, I think the next couple are a jump, but I think the Steelers game is closer to the Dolphins, Jets, and Raiders than it is to this next group.
So the Steelers, the one thing that makes the Steelers kind of tricky that definitely, I think they have too much roster talent to call them a true tomato can anyways.
The Steelers?
Yeah.
Yeah, on defense, yeah.
But the one other element of it is that the last couple of times the Patriots have played Aaron Rodgers early in the year. So they played him week 3, right? Was it last year?
Yeah.
It was a week 3. And then the year before that, they played, remember that Thursday night game in New York was his first game back from the injury, and they got their doors blown off of them by the Jets.
I think that was his first game back from the year. That was week.
Yeah, it was his first game in New York.
In New York. Okay. Yeah.
That those were early in the season.
Right.
And he was still healthy, and he wasn't banged up yet,
Right.
and he was moving around, especially 2 years ago. He looked like MVP Aaron Rodgers that night on that Thursday night game with the Jets. So getting them early with a guy like Rodgers, a 42-year-old quarterback that by the end of last season, Rodgers was a shell of himself. He didn't want to get hit. He was getting rid of the ball so quickly that his ADOT was like plummeting because he wasn't throwing the ball down the field. He couldn't move out of the pocket, so he's basically a statue in the pocket. You might get a little bit more of a throwback Aaron Rodgers like you did last year and 2 years ago early on in the season, but he is at best at this point the 20th best quarterback in the NFL.
Sure.
You can't be losing games at home to those types of
By the way,
players
the
anymore.
Patriots have not won their home opener since 2020. So I've got to get that back on track too.
Got to change that. You should take care of business against the Steelers, and you should beat Aaron Rodgers. The other game I had on here was the Vikings Thursday night game. I just feel like you're playing a team that I have no idea what direction that team is going in. You know, we've taken our small victory laps on J.J. McCarthy. Is it going to be J.J. McCarthy? Is it going to be Kyler Murray that's going to be their quarterback? Yeah. If their season kind of starting to go belly up, they already fired their GM. I think KOC is a great coach, but the quarterback thing, they really royally
the
screwed
quarterback
up.
situation.
Horribly.
Seems to be a pattern with some of these Shanahan guys.
So I'm going to gloss past that. So the Vikings,
could have Brady
the
in San
Vikings
Francisco
at home on a Thursday night on a short week when by that point in the
Right,
season,
week
where is
14.
Minnesota? I feel like that's a spot you should be able to take care of business.
I had that, and that's my next game, literally going easiest to hardest after the Steelers. The Vikings, probably a win. Again, that's 75, 80, 90%. Vikings are coming in as a road team short week. It's literally just Christian Gonzalez take care of business against Justin Jefferson, and the Patriots should win that one relatively easily.
Yeah.
Unless Jefferson goes off, that's Patriots win.
So do you have any more games in these first two categories?
Yes.
Okay.
I put the Green Bay Packers in the probably a win. Now, I was very close to putting them as a coin flip, but I love the spot for the Patriots. I just love the spot. So this is one where before the schedule came out, if
Why
we
do
were
you
just
love the
looking at
spot?
opponents, I might have had them as a coin flip.
Okay.
They are coming back from Miami. It was always a tough trip.
The Patriots are.
Yeah, Patriots
Okay.
come back from Miami, which is always a tough trip.
Yeah.
So, again, I think that game is going to be a little hairy. Patriots should still win, but does it look like it did last year where it comes down late? So I think they come in kind of with a chip on their shoulder. Love the 4:25 time slot. It's going to be a little chilly here. I also don't know with the Packers. It's outside of Toyotathon, so you don't have to worry about Toyotathon. Jordan Love.
You're being sarcastic with that, right? Like that's
90% sarcasm.
That's tugging.
He's better as the year goes on, and there is like truth to it. Jordan Love gets better as the year goes on. You're getting him relatively early. Where is Micah Parsons at? If he is back from the torn ACL at that point, he's probably just back. I'm not super worried about him. He's Micah Parsons, but relatively speaking, this isn't getting him. I don't think you're getting him 100% if he plays. And I don't love their wide receiver group. They didn't replace Romeo Doubs. They don't have a lot of guys to throw the football to. They have Tucker Kraft, but he gets hurt a lot. And is he playing in that game? And then finally, Mike Vrabel against his former offensive coordinator and Matt LaFleur. I like Vrabel in that matchup. I think he uses that as an edge. A lot of these Tennessee guys against him. You also have on the other side DeMarcus Covington, Cam McCord, former Patriot staffers. I like the Patriots in that kind of. There's a lot. I'm not saying there's actual bad blood there. I don't think there is. Can Vrabel use that to kind of get him going? I think they come out hair on fire for this one. Love the spot for the Patriots.
So I have this in the coin flip category.
Okay.
I just have too much respect for Green Bay. I think they're a good regular season team. I think they have a lot of roster talent on that team. I think LaFleur is a good regular season coach. I don't know if he's a good big game playoff coach yet.
He's not.
But I think that he's a good regular season coach. It's a good program. It's a good system offensively. Jordan Love is a good quarterback, especially, in this kind of spot. So I think that that's going to be a relatively competitive game. Like, I think it's probably a little bit disrespectful to Green Bay to say that the Patriots should 75% chance.
I'd put that more in
win.
like the 60 to 70%, I guess. But I think it's a little more in a coin flip. Again, because I think the Packers have a tough game the week before, if I remember correctly.
I think it will be a juiced up Gillette Stadium.
Yes, yeah, you're going to get Brady's going to be back.
Brady's going to be back.
I wonder if that's the week Gronk gets inducted in the Hall of Fame. So you get Gronk at halftime. That spot for the Patriots, and Packers are coming off a home game against the Panthers.
So I don't know anything. Like, is that like, it's the Packers, like wearing throwbacks?
Packers actually have extra time to get ready for it. They play Thursday night the week before.
Wearing throwbacks that game, maybe? Like, it's the Packers. Like,
Maybe.
it's like one of the old. Yeah.
There's only a couple games where it makes sense here. We can go over that if you want. I have some takes on that.
I think that would be fun. So I have this I have the Packers as the first coin flip game.
I like the spot too much.
I'm not gonna do my tight pants Guy LaFleur like that and be disrespectful. I'm gonna say he's got a puncher's chance in that game. Couple more coin flips for me. Chargers at Chargers. I
have that as a coin flip.
I have that as a coin flip. I still need to see more from the Chargers for me to be like, okay, that's a team that I'm going to put in the same category as, a Seattle or a Buffalo or something like that to make it a tough game. I think the spot is a little bit tough. Traveling across the country.
That is a very tough spot.
On a Sunday night football game is a tough
Playoff
spot.
rematch.
But I feel like we get a lot of jazz. People get jazz up Justin Herbert. They jazz up the coach. And I know they had injuries last year on the offensive line that contributed to the Patriots kind of controlling that playoff game last year. But at some point, Justin Herbert's 0-3 in the playoffs. And I know this isn't a playoff game, but my point is like, if you're going to be up in this weight class as the Chargers, they got to win some of these games before I'm convinced that they belong in the weight class. So for that reason, even though I don't really love the Patriots in that spot, I'm still calling this a game that they have a really at least a 50-50 chance of
It's
winning.
a coin flip because the Chargers have not, and that's exactly why the Chargers historically are not good in this spot. If this was like a 425 game early in the year, sure.
Right.
It's a tough spot for the Patriots, but yeah, I have it as a coin flip. So I had 3 coin flips.
So I believe it was last year. They played Denver late in the year, right? Where technically the division.
I think so.
It was one of those games where they could have won the game and put themselves in the driver's seat for the division. They got their doors blown off. And I know they didn't have their tackles. And maybe this year Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt stay healthy and both those guys are available in this game and it changes the course of it. But that playoff game was not really all that competitive either. I know the Patriots didn't really put them away until later on in the game in the second half. But in reality, the Chargers had no chance of scoring that day. They had no chance of moving the ball. I want to see more from the Chargers. No,
the Chargers don't deserve the benefit of the doubt that they can win that game.
So similar, a couple more that I feel like are similar to that one in my coin flip category. I have the Jaguars game in Jacksonville in week 3 as a coin flip game.
I also have that as a coin flip. I have one other, because again, I did them in order of difficulty. I actually had one game before that. That's also a coin flip. That's the home game against the Bills.
Yeah.
But the Jaguar, do you remember that game in 2018 in Jacksonville?
We talked about it yesterday.
Patriots were coming off a Super Bowl loss, and that ended up, and they'd played the Jaguars in the playoffs the year before, an AFC Championship game, but that ended up not being a good Jaguars team. They only won 5 games, but I looked it up. The final score was 31-20. If you told me it was 42-10 the way that game felt, I'd believe you.
It was their Super Bowl.
Completely manhandled the Patriots in that game, and it's again, going down to Florida early in the year, you got to deal with the heat, things like that. It's a Jaguars team that's trying to prove that last year wasn't a fluke. Now, last year might have been a fluke because the Jaguars generally don't have 2 good seasons or 2 bad seasons in a row. They just sort of roller coaster.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's a coin flip for me. That's a tough spot.
Yeah, agreed. Same as the Chargers, I need a little bit more proof of concept from that core in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Liam Cohn, Trevor Lawrence, a lot of things went right for them last year. They won a lot of games. Liam Cohn should hold his head high, after that. But you didn't get that joke, did you?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
It took you a second. But the one thing that stands out to me, and they're related. It's 2 things that are both related. They're kind of botching Travis Hunter, kind of already. And we're not really talking about it because they won, 14 games last year. But that still feels kind of Jaguars to me. They don't really know what to do with him. Right. And I think that they're going to commit him to corner, and it's probably his most natural position. It's probably the right call. But the other thing that's related to that is why is all of a sudden Brian Thomas Jr. not a fit for them? So this guy has a huge rookie season, uber talented, great at LSU, great rookie season, coaching change in Jacksonville. And now all of a sudden, Brian Thomas Jr. is not fit to be a Jaguar, and he might be on the trade block on his rookie contract. And it just feels like there's still a little bit of that Jaguar stink to them where there's some roster moves and some scuttlebutt where you're what's going on down there? Exactly. And are we sure that Trevor Lawrence is really the guy? I think he's a guy. I just don't know if he's the guy. I know Drake May is the guy. I don't know that yet about Trevor Lawrence. So I had them in my coin flip as well. A couple more coin flips. The Bears game, I think, is as coin flippy as you possibly can be a coin flip game. I think those 2 teams, in a really fun way, are mirror images of each other.
Yeah, the Bears, they had an easy schedule last year, took a quarterback the same year. They were between hiring the same coaches. The Bears are just the NFC Patriots.
Yeah, it's cool. I like it. I think it's a fun sort of game to play because you have the first overall pick in that draft in Caleb Williams. You have the 3rd overall pick in that draft in Drake May. Both quarterbacks, like you said, they change coaches. They kind of have a disaster rookie year with both those quarterbacks. Change coaches. The Bears get Ben Johnson. The Patriots get Vrabel. Those were the 2 top candidates on the coaching market that cycle. That could be a game where if they keep building around these young quarterbacks, that's a future of the NFL type of game. If Caleb Williams is on the upward trajectory and Drake May is with him on that upward trajectory, those 2 guys could be 2 guys that meet in the Super Bowl someday.
Yeah.
And that's a fun game. That's my favorite game on the entire schedule. My last coin flip game, because I just had to, because I just like the disrespect from the Denver Broncos. Denver in New England, coin flip game. Still don't believe in them. Have no reason to. We'll see what Bo Nix looks like after the injury. We don't have to go to Denver this time, Alex. So don't worry, okay? You won't have to play at Mile High.
Thinking that
you won't have to play at that
this
altitude.
whole thing still
you
doesn't
don't
make
have
sense.
to go
It's science.
to Denver. Oh God. You don't have to go there. You don't have to go there. The game's here.
Heavy breathing.
The game is here. So don't worry, everybody. Don't panic. Coin flip game.
All right.
Broncos, Patriots.
So my
AFC Championship game rematch. Should
my
be fun.
coin flips were Chargers home versus. Did you have home versus the Bills in there?
No.
Ridiculous.
What do you mean ridiculous? Anytime we'll get to it.
I had Chargers home versus the Bills.
Yeah.
And at the Jags is my 3 coin flip games.
Chargers home against the Bills, and what was the third one?
The Jaguars.
The Jaguars. Okay, so I had more. I had Packers, Chargers, Jags, Broncos, Bears. So I had 5 coin flip games. That's going to make or break your schedule right there.
Yeah.
You go 5-0, 4-1 against those coin flip teams versus 2-3, 1-4. Like that's going to end up being the difference between being a 10-12 win team and an 8-10 win team. Right. So that's the season in my mind is those 5 teams right there. The tough ones, the toughies, the games that are going to be real football games. Both games against the Bills. Not one.
So what is
Both
this category?
games.
What is this category?
This is tough ones. These are the toughest games on the schedule.
Okay, but it should be a fair expectation that they at least. I guess we're doing semantics here. For me, coin toss is like.
We're out of the coin flip games.
Okay, but.
We're into the next tier.
So you think more likely than not the Bills sweep the Patriots?
I think anytime you beat Josh Allen is a good win.
You think
so? I think those
that's
are
not
tough
what I
games.
asked. More likely than not, the Bills sweep the Patriots. The Bills, who got worse, who the Patriots played tough for 6 of 8, 3 of 4 halves last year.
Uh-huh.
And then
you
the
could say
Bills
6
got
of
worse.
8 quarters. You were right.
6 of 8 quarters, whatever it is.
Yeah, you were right. Math's hard.
It is. You think it's more likely than not the Bills sweep the Patriots?
I don't think it's more. No, I think it's more likely that they split. But
then one of the games has to be a coin flip because what you're saying is these are the games the Patriots are more likely to lose than win.
No, what I'm
That's
saying
what makes
is,
a game
is
less
these
than a
are-
coin flip.
No, what I'm saying is these are the toughest games on the schedule. All right, I have too much respect for Josh Allen.
I think you have not
and
enough respect for Drake May.
I think Drake May is great. What do you mean?
Then you don't think there's as good a chance at home the Patriots beat the Bills as there is the Bills beat the Patriots?
There might. I don't know. As good. I mean, how did it go last year? Not great.
Well, but the Patriots also won there. You are
so they
putting.
split.
We are now. The whole point of this exercise is it's essentially.
This is so catch-22. This is so semantical. It's
no,
insane.
this isn't semantics. This is you not understanding the exercise. The point is, it's most likely to least likely to win.
This is you.
So
just
the
being
games that you
frustrated
think-
because you want me to say that the Bills aren't good, and I'm just not going to say that.
I think
you
that
just
saying that a Bills team that got worse, you big DJ Moore guy, Evan, a Bills team that got worse, that botched their coaching situation,
but how did they get
is more
worse?
likely than not to sweep the Patriots.
How is adding DJ Moore getting worse?
They got old. They didn't add any significant players, and they got old. They're still getting older, and who knows what's going to happen with the coach.
I agree. That's the one point you've made that I agree with. The one point that you have made that I agree with is that for all of his faults, you had a high floor with Sean McDermott. You knew that a Bills team with Josh Allen at quarterback and Sean McDermott as the head coach was going to make the playoffs. Like that was just an automatic. Whether they went anywhere in the playoffs is a different story. And the reason why they made a coaching change is because they haven't gone anywhere in the playoffs, right? Can we agree on that? They had high floor with Sean McDermott. That
Sure.
team was a playoff team no matter what.
Well, not because of Sean McDermott, but yes.
But he didn't get in the way.
Not in the regular season.
You're the worst. You just can't even say he did not get in the way of them being a playoff team.
Fine.
We do not know that about Joe Brady.
Right.
There is a chance that Joe Brady gets in the way.
But you think it's more likely than not the Bills win both games?
No,
against-
I just
you
look
would
at it this
favor
one
if you were in
differently.
Vegas, you would favor the Bills in both games. If you're setting the line
If I'm setting the line today, no.
as we do.
I would have the Patriots favored at home and I'd have the Bills favored
Okay,
at
so
home.
then you can't sit the whole point. Okay, then we did 2 totally different exercises.
What
'Cause
else is
the
new?
point was I don't know. I thought we were trying to do the same thing here. Like,
We
have
kinda
this
were.
conversation.
We are
It's-
having
it's
this is
easiest-
good. This is good radio. We are having a
it's
conversation.
Even if
easiest.
the Pats are favored, it's still going to be tough. I think
It's
that's what
a
everyone's
tough
trying
game.
to say.
Thank
But
you.
the coin flips are tough games. That Jaguars game is a tough game. The Chargers. I have the Bills as one of them. It's a tough game.
The Bills are
but it's-
tougher. The Bills are a better team than all those teams you just named.
I think the Bills coming here should not be. That's a game that, yes, I kind of expect the Patriots to win. I don't think it's like a disappointment if they lose it. It's a hard game against a division rival at home after what happened last year. Is a fair expectation, assuming health, that the Patriots win that game.
Tough one.
You should be counting on the
Both
Patriots to win
Bills
that game.
games. Beating Josh Allen is tough. no
You have
matter
the Bills,
which way.
as far as I'm concerned, you have the Bills sweeping the Patriots, which is wildly disrespectful to Mike Vrabel and Drake May.
I do not have. I didn't say
That's
that.
a sweeping declaration.
I did not say that. I said that beating the Bills is not gonna be easy. It's not a coin flip game. Is a game that you realistically can win. This game.
So you're
is-
saying the Patriots can't realistically win both both Bills games?
both Bills games? No, they can't realistically win.
All right,
both.
the game here, you're saying they can't realistically win the game here.
They can. I think it's gonna be a tough game.
That's it. You're
I think it's gonna
describing a
be-
coin flip. You just don't want to put it in the coin flip
Yeah.
because you can't bring yourself
Bills
to do
times
that to
two.
Josh Allen in Buffalo. You can't bring yourself to admit that the Patriots have caught or maybe passed the Bills, which they have.
The one thing I would say to Josh Allen: stop going to Sabres games. Like stop going to Sabres.
Did he go to Game 7?
I don't think so.
I didn't see Mr. Buffalo Game 7.
I know he went to the Bruins game when he did the whatever they do, the stupid
drum,
thing. I'm not saying that it's stupid. 'Cause I think all of them are stupid. By the way, that wasn't like a shot at the Sabres gimmicky stuff. All of our gimmicky stuff is stupid. But just stop going to Sabres games. Tough one. Both Bills games are going to be tough. They're always tough.
All right, that doesn't mean anything.
He's Michael Myers. Like you got to kill him.
Tom Brady is Michael Myers. I won't let you use that. Tom Brady is forever has been Michael.
Tom Brady's in Fox's booth, Alex. He ain't walking
I've
through
said
that
this-
door.
I've said this
He's
for a
not putting
long
the cleats
time.
on. He's not putting a helmet on. He's
Everybody
not in the league
compares
anymore.
Tom Brady to Darth Vader. I don't think that's the if you want to compare.
Because Bill's the emperor.
I know, but
What do you mean
just,
you know?
Just Brady. If you want to compare Brady to a movie villain, this is independent of what we were talking about. I've just always felt this way. I've said this for years. There's a scene in one of and I know the old ones are better, but there's a scene, it's from like the last or second to last trailer of Halloween, where they lock Michael in the basement, they put a bunch of explosives down there, they set the house on fire. And as they're pulling away, there's no reason he should get out of that. And as they're pulling away from the house, what do they see in the rearview mirror? Michael standing in a doorway with a chainsaw. That is Tom Brady. Josh Allen can be like Freddy Krueger or something.
Okay. Both Bills games are going to be tough.
But you described one as a coin flip. But you're just not calling it
I
a coin
can't
flip.
call it a coin flip when Josh Allen's in the game. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I can't call that a coin flip.
If the
I
other
hope-
quarterback is Drake May,
Drake May is awesome, but it's only been 1 year. I'm going to have to see Drake May do it again. I've seen Josh Allen be a top 3, top 1 MVP quarterback in the NFL since 2020. It's 2026. We've had 6 years of Josh Allen playing at this level. Can we have Drake May do it again before we put him in that category? Please.
I think this is disrespectful to Drake May.
Okay, then fine. It's disrespectful to Drake May.
All right.
Next one.
Here's my other. So here's what I had in the So again, my coin flips, real coin flip games.
You just can't help yourself.
I think it's
You just
asinine.
can't help
I think it's
yourself.
asinine
You just-
after they split last year to say
just
no. It's still the
can't
Bills. The
help
Bills are
yourself.
still in the driver's seat. The Bills are the better team. That's what you're saying. If it's not
Yes.
a coin flip,
because isn't there a chance
a coin flip means it's an evenly matched game.
Everybody's talking about it all offseason. Like the Patriots had a easy schedule last year. They ran through it. They ran to the Super Bowl, but they have to replicate it.
Okay.
They have to do it again.
Well,
the Bills have done it again and again for 5-6 years now.
That
We're going
easy
on
schedule included a win in Buffalo, and they had a 21-point lead at home. Admittedly, they blew it, but you hope with the year of experience they get better. And a coin flip means an evenly matched game. It means it's 50-50. If you don't have the Bills game and that can factor in things like home field advantage, short week, things like that. If you don't have one of the Bills games in there, it means you don't think it's an even matchup and that the Bills are better, or for whatever reason, you think that hosting Buffalo on a Sunday afternoon on a regular length week, I guess a little short because of Sunday Night Football, is like some brutal spot. That's basically what you're saying.
Okay, so I'll finish it at this, and then we should move on. Okay, I think that there's a chance that we get to what did you say? It's week 14, right? Week 13,
13 or 14, 13.
Week 13. I think there's a chance that we get to that game and it's not as hard as it looks, because I think there's a chance that the Patriots prove to me and prove to everybody that they have staying power. That last year wasn't about the schedule and it wasn't about the breaks that they got along the way. Like I understand that narrative frustrates people, but at the end of the day, we have to acknowledge it, because the Patriots could be a team that beat up on a bad schedule last year a little bit.
But I
so
think
if we get to week 13 and the Patriots are 10-2 or 9-3 even, whatever, they have a winning record, whatever you want to put it at, and then they're going up against the Bills at home, I'm going to say the Patriots should win this game. They should be favored in this game. But until I see the Patriots prove to me that they are a sustainable winner under Mike Vrabel and Drake May, I can't get there.
Do that, I could just as easily do that game with the Bills. Who knows what kind of head coach?
The only thing you can do that with is with the coach.
No, you can do it with more than a coach. Who's Allen throwing to? I'm not entirely sure.
Who did he throw to last year?
It might be worse. I'm not entirely sure that DJ Moore is an upgrade over Brandon Cooks. I'm not entirely sure of that. You have an offensive line that was dealing with injuries last year. It's a year older, especially their left tackle, who there were some retirement rumblings about this offseason. How does James Cook look after a year where he had to carry the offense? We know running backs struggle to have big years like that back-to-back. And they lost a number, albeit older, of key veteran communicators on defense. To act like the Patriots have to answer all these questions because they had an easy schedule last year, and the Buffalo Bills are just going to sleepwalk their way to 13 or 14 wins again, that's just not being intellectually consistent. I'm not saying the Patriots don't have questions. I'm saying the Bills' questions can go punch for punch with the Patriots. It's a coin flip. It's a coin flip. Who has the tougher questions? It's a coin flip. You're giving entirely too much credit to the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen has proved he can be more.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen has proved he can be more sustainable.
That's
Fine.
it.
I will give you that.
I also just like razzing you up because I know how much you hate Buffalo.
It is a what have you done for
they have great wings.
It is a what have you done for me? Yeah, they're fine. It is a what have you done for me lately league, and the Bills regressed last year and then botched a coaching change.
Okay, so on the coaching, because I agree with that point for you. That's a good point you're making. I'll give you that. On the coaching, there's a chance that Joe Brady can't head coach a team. I think he can coordinate. There's a chance he can't head coach.
So you admit these are two different things?
Yes.
Okay, that's a point for me in another argument. Continue.
Okay, I admit that is true. Okay, but I don't. The botching the coaching change, like we both agree that they needed to move on from McDermott. It was time. Like that wasn't going to work. So what were they supposed to do?
Because the culture wasn't there. They couldn't win in the playoffs.
Right,
they were supposed to go outside the organization.
Okay.
Or at least bring back Brian Daboll.
So I think that. Okay. I think that to me, Brian Daboll, the only advantage Brian Daboll had was that he failed as the Giants head coach. So like he has a little bit of sideline experience as a head coach. But like I think both those guys are offensive, play callers on the offensive side of the ball that worked with Josh Allen. And my guess is that Josh Allen really likes Joe Brady. Now, should he be doing the hiring? Probably not. But that's just the God's honest truth. Look, people are going to side with you on this one. I can already tell. But I just like to rile you up because of the Bills. And I also just think the Bills are a little bit better than you do. You're right, though. They have some concerns. And there's a chance that Buffalo has a really bad year, like by their standards. I don't think they're ever going to totally stink with Josh
500
Allen.
team.
Yeah, but it can't be 500. But
I hate that. 8-1.
Do they go 8-9? Do they have a true down year like Kansas City had last year? Right, and I know Kansas City got made worse because Mahomes got hurt.
They were out of the playoffs before Mahomes got hurt.
But it really went downhill when that happened. Speaking of Mahomes, I still have at Kansas City as a tough one. I have a lot of the same concerns or the same questions that you have about the Bills. I have about Kansas City. So
you'll admit these things are real, just not for your team up in Buffalo.
Correct.
Ridiculous.
Mostly just to annoy you. I think the Kansas City Chiefs roster still doesn't wow me. And Mahomes coming off the ACL, it sounds like he certainly sounds like he's going to be ready for when they play the Patriots. The NFL is counting on him being ready week 1. Like, we'll see if that happens. But I'm not 100% sold yet on this Kansas City team. Andy Reid last year felt like a guy that was on the late Belichick watch list, right? Like, was he starting to lose his fastball a little bit? Just from an offensive innovation standpoint, they didn't really have a lot of answers, even with the healthy Mahomes. I didn't think they really did a lot. Now, there are some rumblings around them that they could put their hat in the A.J. Brown sweepstakes when it really comes, the rubber meets the road with that. But I still am not wowed by their skill talent. Like Travis Kelce coming back a year older doesn't really move me all that much after how he looked for most of the year last year. Mahomes coming off a major injury. Their big offseason addition was Kenneth Walker, so they added a running back, which you know how I feel about that.
Right.
I think they'll be pretty good on defense as they have been the last couple of years. But even defensively, they traded Trent McDuffie. I don't know why. Like, why did you do that? And then Chris Jones also was kind of in that Travis Kelce category of, I don't know if he's still got as much left in the tank as he did before. Same thing about Reed. Is Mahomes the same guy? I was really tempted to put Kansas City in a lower tier here because I really don't believe in the Chiefs this year. But that being said, it's still Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
It's still Arrowhead. That is a really, really difficult environment to play in. So I came out in the wash to this being a tough game on their schedule, but I still kind of feel like maybe Kansas City has another down year in them. And if they do, I really wonder what happens in Kansas City. Obviously, Mahomes isn't going anywhere.
Right.
But if they have another down year, is Andy Reid kind of running out of gas? You know, and Travis Kelce certainly looks like he's running out of gas. Where did you have the Chiefs? Maybe we can come to an agreement on the Chiefs because clearly we can't agree on the Bills.
No, I don't think so. Why don't you go through the rest of yours? I'll go through the rest of mine because having different categories kind of screws it up.
That's true. I probably should have stuck with your categories. I didn't like them. Didn't like your categories.
Well, because you didn't understand them clearly. So for the probably a loss games, these are the ones where it's like you could steal one. Weirder things have happened, but I don't like the spot.
Yeah.
I had at Detroit in Germany. Detroit's a good team. They're looking to bounce back after regressing a year ago. Just the Patriots. I know it's different coaches, but the Patriots' history the last few years in Europe, maybe that's weighing on me too much. And some of the things the Lions do well, their ground game, their pass rush match up well with questions about the Patriots. So I think that's a tough spot. Week 17 versus the Broncos, I have as a tough one.
But it's not in Denver, Alex.
Still a tough game.
It's so much easier.
No, and not being in Denver, because it's not.
I mean,
the Broncos,
I couldn't breathe when I was there. It was terrible.
The Broncos are not a team that's going to be impacted by because week 17, they're not a team that's going to come up here late and struggle with the cold or whatever's going on. They're going to be used to that. Rematch the AFC Championship game. They play in a much tougher division. That game is going to have a lot of meaning for them one way or the other. I think that's a really tough spot. And then week 7 at the Bears, I have as their 4th toughest game. Being the road team on a Thursday night is never easy. And I think preparing for all the whoopsie-doo of that offense on a short week when you don't see that team regularly, it's an NFC team, is going to be very difficult. That's one where I thought
Are you admitting that Ben Johnson's a good
for one game?
schemer?
I'm not. Yeah, he's a good offensive coordinator. I've never said he's not.
I just wanted you
the
to admit
offense
that.
coordinator side of Ben Johnson's going to have a chance to show up there. And I just hate the Thursday night road team in general. That's one I wanted to put as a coin flip. But again, having to go there on a Thursday night, that's a really tough spot. I don't like that spot for the Patriots. And then my hardest of the hard, climbing up the mountain games. This is, if you could steal one of these, that's great. At Buffalo, I know they won there last year, but that game is the Bills' Super Bowl. After the Patriots passed them, which they did. Yes, they did. They passed them. The Patriots passed them in the offseason. They won last season. They won the division.
They won the offseason.
The Patriots passed them last season. They won the division. They won there last year in the final game at Old Highmark. It's a stadium that the Patriots historically own. So here you go. Fresh slate. First time the Patriots are coming into the new building after stealing the division, snatching their chain last year. That is the Bills' Super Bowl, at least at home. They do not play a more, especially if you think Kansas City's going to regress, because they go to Denver for the playoff rematch. The Bills do. That is, if you polled Bills fans, what is the one game that means the most for them to win at home in the new stadium? this is it. That you are going to get the Bills' best punch in that game, the team and the fans. I have the Chiefs in the climbing the mountain game. I do, because I think that you're going to get, even if Mahomes isn't back to start the season, by week 15, it's a year and a week exactly from the injury. You're probably going to get Mahomes' best punch in that game. I'm
less worried about Mahomes' best punch in terms of the Chiefs. Week 15, I just don't know where the Chiefs are going to be.
So here's the thing. I think they're going to regress a little bit. I still think they're going to be competitive. That might be like make or break it into the playoffs for them. That is going to be going into Arrowhead in prime time with the Chiefs needing that game to keep their playoff hopes alive. And then I'll add to it, and maybe I'm doing a little too much psychoanalysis here. Mahomes was on the other side of how many of these games where it was him versus Brady, and he had to hear it played up as the historical significance. Two great quarterbacks. The first Mahomes-May game, and I'm not saying May is going to become Mahomes, but it's a different generation of quarterbacks. Mahomes is no longer in that young quarterback generation, and this game could have significant historical implications for the debate among the quarterback position. I think Mahomes understands that. I think this is a game, having gone through with Brady, I think this is, if he has one or two left in him to just single-handedly will the team to win, I think it's this. And then the hardest game on the Patriots schedule for me is the first. You got to go out there. It is still short of a short week, even though it's week 1, which sucks. Because when you go from roster cuts to this, you have a little less time. You're going to watch them raise the banner. It's an East Coast team going west. The defending Super Bowl champion has won this game 4 of the last 6 years and is 17-4 all-time in this spot. Again, just hate that spot for the Patriots.
Okay, so we have a lot of the other same games, other than the Bills being split, but for you. At Seattle, easily the toughest game on the schedule. I don't think that's debatable.
Yeah.
At Kansas City, I still think is a tough game, but I just pulled it up because I wanted to be sure. You want to hear Kansas City's wide receiver?
Yeah, it's not great.
Tyquan Thornton.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice with whatever is going to happen with Rashee Rice. Jalen Royals, and Cyrus Allen, who they just drafted in the 5th round.
Yeah, and then whatever's left to Travis Kelce at tight end.
And whatever's left to Travis Kelce at tight end, and then Kenneth Walker, I mentioned they signed as a free agent at running back. That ain't great. It's really not very good. And you're expecting Mahomes to come off an ACL and come back and just kind of turn water into wine with that group. Their offensive line still got talent, but there's no more Joe Thuney there, right? So, it's not a great offensive line either. I would have a lot of concerns about Kansas City made me tempted. It made me tempted. The other team that I was really tempted with, and I was hoping that we could argue about this a little bit too, the Detroit Lions. I don't know what the Detroit Lions are going to be.
It's a tough spot. Frankly, if it was in Detroit, I probably would have put them in that second category, in that, climbing a mountain. The fact it's a neutral site game, that's going to impact them too. That's a tough game.
Yeah.
I think when I actually went through and did my exercise, I had that as a loss. I don't think it's quite on the level as some of those others, because I think the game being played in Europe naturally. I mean, look, the Jets almost beat the Broncos over there last year.
Yep.
I just think playing internationally is a natural, somewhat, not completely, but it does level the playing field, does even things out, because it's a major variable that both teams have to deal with.
So with the Lions, I think it's a big break that it's technically a neutral site game. It is a neutral site game.
I wouldn't call it a break.
It's technically a Lions home game,
yeah,
but it is a neutral site game. It is a break that they don't have to play in Detroit. It's a break.
But the alternative is going to Europe, which is a pain in the ass in its own right. It's just a different challenge.
Okay, but
I wouldn't say it's a break.
It's a break.
It's a different
not having
challenge.
to go into Detroit.
No, you just have to go to another country.
Okay, but that's a neutral site, Alex. You're gonna. Detroit is one of the hardest places to play in the NFL.
It makes
like
the
Seattle,
game,
Arrowhead, Detroit.
Okay. It makes so now you care about home field advantage all of a sudden. You don't care about the one that's scientifically proven in Denver. All right, way to be consistent. But it makes the game itself difficult.
It would be harder if the game was in Detroit.
It makes the week, the planning, the preparation harder. It's an offset. I wouldn't call it a break.
The game would be harder in Detroit than it is going to be.
The game itself is the entire process that week easier or harder because it's in Germany.
It is harder to win the game.
It's a different kind of challenge. I don't think it's easier or harder.
Is it harder to win the game in Munich, or is it harder to win the game in Detroit?
From when the ball is
just which game is easier to win?
From when the ball is snapped, it's easier to be in Munich. The thing is, Are you going to be able to prepare the way you want to prepare, dealing with all the extra stuff that comes with going to Europe?
Do you give the Patriots to use your own? Do you give the Patriots a better chance to win the game in Munich or win the game if it was in Detroit?
It really doesn't change it for me. I think it's just a different challenge. That's what I'm saying.
I think it's easier in Munich. The other thing that I would just say about the Lions, I've always kind of thought Dan Campbell was a little bit overrated. Now I've got him totally on fraud watch as a head coach. I think there's a very good chance that Ben Johnson was the real brains of that operation in Detroit when he was their offensive coordinator. As example of what he did in Chicago in his first year as the head coach and where the Lions went without him. So they hired Drew Petzing as their offensive coordinator because Dan Campbell's plan last year went completely haywire to the point where he had to put the bifocals on and call the plays himself by the end of the year. I like Drew Petzing. I think he did some things in Arizona, especially in the run game, that I liked, but I still don't know if that's a great hire or not. Kelvin Shepard was a little bit better as their defensive coordinator. Like that one wasn't quite as much of a step down from Aaron Glenn to Kelvin Shepard. But the whole Dan Campbell thing in Detroit without Ben Johnson last year, 0-for-1, right? Like they didn't look good. So I was tempted to move that one down too, but I didn't. I left it up there because in all likelihood, Detroit probably has a bounce back year. I think I'd probably put more of the odds at bounce back year for Detroit than another bad one, but I think another bad one is possible. Okay, there's a schedule. You all can blah me after the break about being so stubborn about the Bills. I think Alex is actually the stubborn one against the Bills. I think I'm the one that respects the opponent.
Not acknowledging what's happened in the last 8 to 12 months.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to open it up to your calls and emails.
Come welcome our newest restaurant additions at Patriot Place. Estella brings a celebration of flavors with a modern fusion menu, exciting cocktails, and brunch available daily beginning at 11 a.m. Enjoy freshly brewed coffee and Mediterranean-inspired breakfast and lunch from Angel's Cafe. Craving the classics? Chick-fil-A makes it easy to grab your favorite with mobile through, carry-out, and dine-in options. Download the Patriot Place Advantage app for special offers and to earn rewards every time you visit. Patriot Place. Shop, dine, enjoy.
The heaviest metal credit card of all time. Wielded at business dinners like a samurai sword. It's a classic corporate power move. But the real power move? Having end-to-end visibility on your most critical shipments. FedEx, the new power move.
Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right.
DraftKings is all about responsible gaming. It's more fun when it's for fun. So play responsibly. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction.
Catch-22.
All right, we are back, and do you want to add some winning furniture to your home lineup? Bob's Discount Furniture has top-rated picks at everyday low prices that ship fast. Shop Bob's to score fan favorites with thousands of real 5-star reviews, like the modular Bob's collection, a customizable sectional packed with perks like charging and cup holders that guarantee a great game day watch party. So stop in or shop online to score a 5-star style for less with Bob's Discount Furniture, the official furniture store of the New England Patriots. The construction around this place, we got like the hammering out here is just crazy. The World Cup is just like completely taken over this stadium. This is only like phase 1 of them taking over, by the way. Like in 2 weeks, it's like it hits like a whole other lockdown phase that gets even more strict. It's pretty wild how they just come in and sort of just commandeer the whole space. Let's get into your calls and emails. 855-PATS-500 is the phone number if you want to weigh in. We got some emails to get to as well. Let's start with Patty and Agawam. What's up, Patty?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Great show as always. I love how you guys just like get into it just about the schedule and what you think is going to be the toughest games. I did have a few questions that I wanted to throw out there to you guys. The first one is, Evan, do you have any inkling about when the training camp practices are going to start? Because I'm hoping to do what I did last year, which is go to the first Saturday and then the joint practice against the Eagles.
Yeah. Wait, what was the question again, Patty? Sorry, we got
training camp.
We got some banging outside.
It's going to be that same. What is it? Wednesday or Thursday? I think it always because they do the thing now where all the teams start at the same time.
The start of training camp. Yeah.
Oh, do they start early? Because oh no, you start early for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
game,
No, it's usually like the week of like the 22nd. I think is that Wednesday, the 23rd, like somewhere around there is. Usually the very first day, but remember that the first day of training camp is not padded, right? Like, so they're not truly live contact yet until the ramp up period, which takes 5 days. So usually the first padded practice is until like Sunday or Monday of that following week.
Yeah. All right, cool. And I just wanted to say, like, the one thing that scares me about the Bills this year and going forward, not necessarily like them winning a Super Bowl, and I'll get into that in a second, but I really do like Skylar Bell, and you guys know how much I was pumping his hires pre-draft. I think Moore might have lost the step, but they're going to be a tough game, Alex. Like, both games, I would say they're both kind of in the coin flip territory just because of what they did last year. I mean, you can argue that the Patriots roster is a lot more deep this year, and if they end up trading for A.J. Brown or, my dream is that he goes to Jacksonville. He gets traded to Jacksonville, and we trade for BTJ, but that's a story for another day. I think they're going to be, it's going to be the Pats and the Bills because, let's face it, the Jets and the Dolphins suck. They're probably going to – the Jets will suck for all eternity, but making any noise. But, Evan, I know from listening to PU over the last few weeks that you fancy yourself as somewhat of a conspiracy theorist. Have you ever watched the X-Files, or have you ever gone back and, watched any of the X-Files?
I have not, and thanks for the call, Patty. We appreciate it. I have not. I'm on. That's was a little bit before our time. I
never saw that
X-Files, but
I'm aware of it. But
maybe like a little bit of a conspiracy guy. I don't do that. I don't look into it as much anymore as I used to, but I had a phase, where I was going down a lot of rabbit holes.
Just watching Zeitgeist every weekend.
Yeah, like Elvis, the moon landing, JFK, Tupac, you just kind of.
Beatles.
What about the Beatles?
Oh, the good Paul McCartney one?
There's one about Paul McCartney?
Yeah, he's a fake Paul McCartney. The one that we have now is not really Paul McCartney. It's Paul McCartney.
We think that he's the current one is fake.
How did you have a conspiracy theory phase and not go down Paul is dead, the Paul is dead rabbit hole?
Just didn't.
So
I don't know what to tell you.
I forget the whole thing. If you want it's you go down and it.
John Lennon's dead. That I know.
Yes.
For real, though.
I think this is, so I think that the theory is it was before John Lennon died, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was before John Lennon died, and he died
Paul
in a
McCartney
car
died, I think it's like in a car crash
it was a car
or something.
Crash, yeah.
That's how the theory
he died
goes.
in a car crash, and they replaced him because the world wouldn't be able to handle Paul McCartney being dead. Like, there would be pandemonium. So they replaced him with a lookalike.
So there's a lookalike.
They really thought it would be that upsetting to people.
Supposedly there's all these clues about the way they're standing on the cover of certain albums, and I Am the Walrus? There's one Beatles song that if you play it backwards, supposedly you hear Paul is dead.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly what one it is, but yeah, that's when they used to play records backwards. And
So there's all these clues supposedly about them replacing Paul McCartney. Yeah, like on the cover of Abbey Road, I think like he's the only one that isn't wearing shoes or something.
Okay.
Revolution 9 is the one.
We went to
play it backwards.
We went to Abbey Road when we were in London 2 years ago, and it's like very much not a great spot to just like stop traffic. Like it's like a pretty busy road.
Well, they're the Beatles,
and like so people go there to take the Beatles picture.
Yeah.
And so like every like couple of minutes, there's just a mob of people just standing in the middle of a road that is like there's no stoplight, there's no stop
That's
sign.
so inconsiderate. That's so inconsiderate.
It's literally just like a regular road, and like people just stop traffic and hold up traffic to take a picture there. It was very bizarre. I thought it would be like more organized, like they would know that was happening, so they would like try to organize it. No, I never went down the Paul McCartney road. But
that's a major one. I'm kind of surprised.
I was more of like moon landing, Elvis.
So this is very similar to like the Elvis and JFK ones.
Yeah, but that was more of my slant. Like the moon landing, I'm still I have questions. Alex in PA emails in. Alex is 100% right on the Bills, Evan. If the spread is very close, that means it is a very even matchup. In order for Evan to claim the Bills games are both less than coin flips, the Bills must be clear favorites going into the game. It's a travesty to think the Pats don't have a very good chance to win since they won in Buffalo, all capitals, last year and were up 21-0 at home. So maybe I will concede that in the exercise as it was designed, it doesn't make sense to say both games are tough games. I just think as a football person, both games are tough games. Does that make sense?
A coin flip is a tough game. I don't know why you don't think a game where it's evenly matched is a tough game. Like that's not a game that's evenly matched. You got to win on the margins. You got to do little things right. That's not easy to win. The other side of that is the games that you are more likely to lose. If a game is less than a coin flip, you're more likely to lose. That's just the definition of that's how words work. I don't know if I can explain it any clearer than that. So, and I'll get the game in Buffalo, that's less than a coin flip. There's a lot the Patriots have to do to win that game, I think. That is a very difficult spot. That is a hard game.
Okay.
The game here, late in the season, who knows where the Bills will be at? That should be a coin. I'd be disappointed if that game is not a coin flip. Are the Bills what were the Bills favored by last year I think they were favored in that game, right? It was like maybe a point and a half.
I think they were favored in both of them.
Well, but the first one, the Patriots hadn't established themselves yet.
That's my point. That was their coming out party, was that game.
I'll look up if the Bills are favored by a point, maybe that's a coin flip to me.
That is one of the most fun regular season games I've ever covered and ever attended was the game in Buffalo last year.
It was awesome.
Great football game. Came down to the wire. Huge statement win.
And then your team lost and you were crushed.
The locker room was it was bumping as almost as it was when they won the playoff games, to be honest with you. Like that, the place was, a lot of that I think had to do with Diggs and it being kind of a revenge game for Diggs. But in general, it was a fun night. It was a really fun night. They were over the moon about that game. Rodrigo emails in and he actually thinks that
the Bills were -1.5.
Okay.
For that game. So that's a coin flip. At 1 point here or there, it's a coin flip.
Well, you get 2 for being the home team, so they really thought the Bills were going to win by like a field goal.
On a neutral field. It was not a neutral field. It was here.
Rodrigo emails in, and he says that he actually thinks that the first Bills game is an easier game for the Patriots. So the game in Buffalo.
Why?
Because they have a new coach and they might not be all,
okay.
Their continuity or whatever you want to call it. They might not be up to speed yet. Now, I think not the one reason, but a big reason why they promoted from within with Joe Brady was to seamlessly transition. Like if they had gone, maybe not Brian Dable, but if they had gone completely outside of their tree, then I would have been I could see what Rodrigo was saying a little bit more. I think that they purposely picked the guy that was going to kind of.
They wanted the continuity.
Yeah,
I just think that game is that's the game you circle on the calendar if you're the Bills. That's the big one. They took your chain last year. Like, you're going to get Buffalo's best punch. But if Joe Brady's a mess, that opens the door for sure.
Yeah. So a lot of questions, obviously, about A.J. Brown. Do you want to do a quick A.J. Brown reset of where your A.J. Brown thoughts are now on May 20th as we record this podcast? So at 4 o'clock on June 1st.
Is that what? So I've been meaning to look this up. What is
it's 4 o'clock on June 1st, and I think that Mike Reese confirmed that in his Sunday notes last week. So I had heard that was it, but I wasn't 110% on it. So I think that's the day that it becomes turn page, right? Now, because then it will be on the transaction wire for June 2nd, right? So it has to be after the 1st.
The deal cannot be official until June 2nd.
Correct. So if they could announce it as early as 4:01 on June 1st.
Right, because now the June 1st wire is cleared. And yes.
So we are, 12 days, right? There's 31 days in May. So we're 12.
30 days has to,
There's 12 days away from this. Have your thoughts and feelings at all changed on A.J. Brown? I know, in my opinion, I think there's a lot of, and I don't have any reporting myself on this, it's just my opinion. My opinion is that this is a saga that generates clicks, that generates content for this time of year. So a lot of these insiders, all of a sudden Jacksonville's involved, and maybe Kansas City will be involved, and maybe the Rams will get back involved. To me, that's a lot of fodder at this point in time. I still think they all say that in their answers, and then they come back down to, but really the only team involved is the Patriots.
Right.
But they try to throw out all these different possibilities. Where are you at with A.J. Brown as of today?
Still the same. I mean, I really think you stare, if it doesn't get down on June 1st at 4:01 p.m. or whenever, like, I'd spend a couple weeks staring Howie Roseman down.
Yeah.
And like, all right, bring him into camp. Here's his 2027 second. Bring him into camp if you want more than that. And like, maybe that changes down the road, but if there really are no other teams in on it, I hate for the Patriots to give up a first, even if it's in 2028. And if it becomes, okay, it's a second that becomes a first. If the Patriots make the playoffs, that's fine. I'm talking like an unprotected, no qualifiers first round pick. Yeah. I'd hate for them to give that up, but if it's 28 pick and that's ultimately what it takes to get it done, I just think after the season Drake May just had, you cannot come back. And I think they're probably on par, maybe a little worse at wide receiver, tiny bit than they were last year, because you're just counting on more from Romeo Doubs that you haven't seen him do. He's a young guy. He should get better, but it's not tangible. You cannot be as good or less than a wide receiver around Drake May after what he gave you last year. So if it is a 2028 first, so be it. Just know that probably means they're trading back next year in order to recoup some of the value. But if they can get it, I still would like to see them hold out and get it done for a second round pick. And again, like, how are you going to bring him into camp?
So are you 2027 second round pick or a 2028 first?
27 second.
27 second. So you just don't want to give up a first.
I think that's easier to recoup.
In a trade down or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would do a 28 first. I would not do a 27 first, just with what this draft could be. But
no,
again,
the 27 first to me is off the table.
Should be off the table.
Yeah.
And I still, again, if you make it conditional, even if the 27 first, I would do conditionally. Because if it's the 20 whateverth pick, fine. Whatever. I just want some protection. Like, if there's a bunch of injuries and suddenly they're picking top 10 in this unbelievable draft, I don't think they're actually going to be that bad, but if there's injuries and things like that. So
sure.
That's the one spot where I'd like to see them protect themselves. 28 first, I could live with. That to me is like, and I've said this before about them, I'm just to be consistent, like, it's Price doing business. He's a hell of a player. You're not going to get him for scraps.
Yeah.
So I don't think a second is scraps. I think a second is what's fair. It's just, it's going to be a game of chicken. I don't think either side has a ton of leverage, frankly. Or maybe they both have leverage. The leverage is even. I don't think that one side needs this deal to happen more than the other. The Patriots, again, are okay at receiver. Steph Diggs is still out there. The Eagles, have to get rid of him, I guess. In theory, he's still a good player. You could bring him back. It might be awkward, but you could bring him back. So I don't think either side has more leverage over the other. It just becomes a staring contest.
I would say that the Eagles might just have slightly more leverage just because they have the player. And I understand your point of they probably don't want or need or like there's a log jam that's been created there sort of thing. But in theory, the Eagles could go into next season with Brown, Devontae Smith, and Mekhi Lemon, and Mekhi Lemon is complimentary enough to those other two guys.
That would just be sick.
Right. Like there's a way to just kind of make that work.
You still got Dontavian Wicks mixing in. And
Right. You know, he's your fourth guy and whatever. As for the Patriots, it does feel like I would say you took a small step back at wide receiver if you don't get A.J. Brown, because it's sort of like I was talking about them as a team earlier. Until we see Romeo Doubs replicate Stephon Diggs' production, we don't know if Romeo Doubs can truly replicate Stephon Diggs' production. He might be 80% as good as Stephon Diggs, which 800 yards instead of 1,000, and he's younger, and he's a little bit less of a headache, which might end up being worth it, right, in the long run. But we don't know yet if he can replicate it. I was looking this up yesterday or the day before. I don't think people quite realize how absolute bonkers it is that Stephon Diggs caught 83% of the passes ever thrown to him last year.
Nuts.
83%. Drake May had an 83% completion rate throwing the ball to Diggs last year.
And even
That's
if you
insane.
take out the ones at the line of scrimmage, it's still like high 70s.
It is absolutely insane. 83% is a ridiculously efficiently high number. So in asking Romeo Doubs to come in and completely replace that, it's not quite Jacoby Myers to Juju Smith-Schuster, because I think a little bit more of Romeo Doubs than I did at Juju.
Right. Romeo Doubs is also healthy.
I made that mistake though last time with that swap, right? I thought Juju would be better after the catch. I thought Juju could replicate a lot of the same things Jacoby Myers did. Could not have. That was probably one of my worst takes of all time.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not going
to
make that mistake twice though.
You're getting younger. It's more about the long
You are
term.
getting younger. I just that time I really thought that Juju was going to be at least as good, if not better, and I could not have been more wrong. Until you see it with Romeo Doubs, you can't make that assumption.
Sure.
So if they only go into the season with Romeo Doubs, is there only a 1-for-1 swap with Stephon Diggs? I say they got a little bit worse at that position. So I do think that I don't know if I would go as far to say that they desperately need A.J. Brown, but if they really want to be a Super Bowl contender again, I think you kind of need A.J. Brown. Now, could they pivot to Diggs?
Right. You need somebody. I don't think they need A.J. Brown. It could be Diggs.
They need somebody of his caliber.
Again, does the Brian Thomas Jr. thing come back? I don't think so, but they need somebody. But it does not have to be A.J. Brown.
It has to be somebody of that ilk, of that tier, of that caliber. So for that reason, I'd say the Patriots have a little bit less leverage. So I would probably give up the 2020. I would give up the 2028 first.
Okay,
but that's as much as I'm not doing. I'm not touching the pick in 2027.
I'd give up 28 first. That's it. I ultimately would do that, but I'd rather not.
The thing I keep coming back to with it too, with the 2028 first. Okay, let's say you have a Commander season and you just have the year from hell, and Drake May gets hurt, and you just have a horribly bad season. You might just have one of those years from hell in terms of injuries and all that kind of stuff. And that might, push you back to the middle, because last year you were pretty lucky in terms of health. But that doesn't change, I don't really think, how we view the talent of the young players on the roster. I still think they're on the up, right? I still think the Commanders could bounce back very easily this year. So what are the odds that the Patriots trading the 2028 first for A.J. Brown is not what are the odds the Patriots take a step back this year. It's what are the odds the Patriots take a step back in 28.
Right.
So if you have the year from hell in 27, are you really going to come back in 28 and still be bad? You're still
right. Then you have bigger problems
because then you're going to have a top pick in 2027, which everybody thinks is a great draft. You're going to have cap space again. You're going to be doing the whole thing all over again, right?
Right.
And you have one more whole fell swoop. I just can't imagine this team with Mike Vrabel and Drake May being bad in 2028. Because if they're bad in 2028, that means the thing is going the wrong way, which I don't think any of us feel like it is. So that's why the 2028 pick, sort of tongue-in-cheek, sort of not. They're picking 32nd in 2028. Are we really all going to be too upset that they gave it up for A.J. Brown?
No.
So I that's how I look at that. This email is from Barth in Poland. He said, is it crazy? And these are hard to do because like you have to remember all the other teams' rosters and stuff like that. But is it crazy to say that if the Patriots get A.J. Brown, they would have the second best wide receiver room in the AFC only behind Cincinnati? So I think everybody is in agreement that Cincinnati probably has the best, right?
Yeah.
I would say Denver now with Jalen Waddle has a very, very good one too.
Houston's well, I guess it depends on health. Houston's is up there in theory.
So, Denver is Cortland Sutton, Jalen Waddle, and then kind of a competition between Troy Franklin, why can't I say that name? Pat Bryant and Marvin Mims, right? Like there's that third guy. I'd say Pat Bryant probably wins that out. In Houston, I guess if Tank Dell is healthy.
Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Shaden Higgins, Xavier Hutchinson, Jalen Knoll.
Yeah, the two Iowa State kids.
Yeah.
Jacksonville is, BTJ in theory, Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington.
That's not bad.
Which isn't bad either. Obviously we know what they have in Cincinnati with Higgins, Chase, and Yoshivas. He mentioned, though, sneaky dark horse at the Jets with Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper Jr., and Adonai Mitchell. I don't think that's quite in that upper echelon tier. It's maybe
That'd be sick if A.D. Mitchell could catch the ball.
It might be like a sneaky good team.
Yeah.
Right? Like a team that is on the up and come. And then, Bills, DJ Moore, Josh Palmer, Khalil Shakur, no. Ravens, Bateman, Tez Walker, Zay Flowers, probably not. Zay Flowers is a good player, but in Cleveland is probably the same category. I'd put them in as the Jets. Like if Denzel Boston and Casey Concepcion hit, and they're with Jerry Jeudy, like now you got a group, right? But you have to have those rookies hit. Pittsburgh, Metcalf, Pittman, Bernard is not bad, but you need Bernard to hit.
Yeah.
So I would say the Patriots, A.J. Brown, Romeo Doubs, and then whatever, Matt Collins, Kayshon Boutte, Kyle Williams, whoever ends up being the third and fourth guys there. Pretty good. What do you think happens with Kayshon Boutte?
I think he gets traded. I just don't see this is assuming they get A.J. Brown, right?
Yeah.
So A.J. Brown's going to basically take over his role. So you have a guy that's going to be on a very reduced role. He's in a contract year. He's not going to be happy about that because he wants to play and get an opportunity to get paid. Also, are the Patriots really going to pay him after trading a first-round pick for A.J. Brown? And so you're going to hold on to him for a year so he can play like 15 to 20% of the snaps and then let him walk in free agency. And, if he doesn't play, you're probably not going to get really a comp pick because it's not going to be worth that much. So you can get like a fifth-round pick for him now. They got 4-6 again next year. Can you do Boutte in a 6 for a fourth? Something like that?
Yeah.
I just, good player. Not trying to rush him out the door. I just don't really see the benefit of holding on to him.
So I don't see the benefit of holding on to him for him or for the team. Because for him, like you said, entering the last year of his rookie contract, he hasn't really ever been a volume guy in New England.
No.
And now there's even less volume available to him. So even if there's things break his way, there's an injury, let's say he ends up being the third receiver, right? It's Boutte, Dobbs, A.J. Brown. You're still not really getting the volume, right? You're still going to be a guy that's going to catch like 35, 40 passes for 500 yards. Like that's going to be your stat line. So if you're truly trying to make, have that massive payday next offseason, that's not going to get you there. I think the one thing I would say about Kayshon Boutte from the Patriots perspective, I don't think that we should mix up the Patriots' bad luck of drafting wide receivers and you finally get a guy like Kayshon Boutte to sort of pan out. Right. With that being that Kayshon Boutte is some like irreplaceable player, right? Like I think those are two different things.
I think you can get another player that'll give you what Kayshon Boutte gives you in a year or two if you need that guy.
I just feel like we tend to overrate Kayshon Boutte a little bit because he's the one wide receiver pick. And frankly, Pop Douglas is not too far behind. If you look up Pop Douglas's numbers from last year, you'd be surprised. It's a lot closer to Kayshon Boutte's than you would think. But those two guys together are really the first time the Patriots have had solid draft picks at that position in like forever.
Right.
And so I think that kind of puts them on a little bit of a pedestal when you really think about where Kayshon Boutte fits in like the hierarchy of the NFL at that position. he's an NFL player, but he's not anything super special.
He's not irreplaceable.
No. And I think if he was something that the league viewed a little bit higher, I think he already would have been traded. I think there was a chance that he was going to get traded on draft weekend. I thought we might come out of day 3.
I think that you got to wait till you get, because if you trade him and then don't get A.J. Brown, now you're in trouble.
I think there was a chance. I think that they've been open to trading him all offseason.
I think you got to make sure you get A.J. Brown first. Maybe they've been exploring it, knowing that they're going to get A.J. Brown, and they've been laying the groundwork. You can't trade him without getting A.J. Brown.
So I hear what you're saying, but like if they traded Kayshon Boutte before they got A.J. Brown, you have to give some opportunity to Kyle Williams to potentially flourish.
Sure.
Right? And last year, we can look at it statistically and say, Kyle Williams doesn't have a great chance of being a breakout player because of what he did his rookie year. There's not a lot of precedent from a guy going from 10 catches to being an NFL player, overnight like that.
Kayshon Boutte is kind of the one example.
Kayshon Boutte might be the one example. But you could also put it in context and say, well, he had Diggs, he had Matt Collins, he had Kayshon Boutte, he had veteran guys in front of him who were producing, and he just didn't really have a great opportunity to get on the field. And a couple of times that he was targeted down the field in Baltimore, the places, there was one other catch, right? He had one other big one. Giants, was it? I remember the Baltimore one. He had one more
Texans
bomb.
one. You talking about Boutte?
No, Kyle Williams.
The Bucks.
Was it the Bucks? Oh yeah, the Bucks.
Yeah, the catch and run.
Yeah, he had some flashes, right? Some moments of flashes. If you trade Kayshon Boutte without getting A.J. Brown, you are putting a lot of stock in Kyle Williams taking that next step, but maybe you should be opening that pathway for him.
I don't know. That's putting all your eggs in that basket. I like Kyle Williams. I don't know that I'm that confident.
Okay, fair enough. So I do think that they've been trying to trade. They would be open to trading, not trying, open to trading Kayshon Boutte, maybe for 2 off seasons, honestly. Like we heard some of this stuff last offseason too when Vrabel took over the team that they were trying to move off of Kayshon Boutte. So none of this is really new. But I think that he, could go someplace else. If he's a 100 target guy, does his production double, right?
Boutte?
Or is he truly a specialist?
I don't think he's somebody that's ever going to be a 100 target guy.
Just because of the role he's playing, or
because of the role?
Yeah,
that's not using him at his best. The question is, if he plays a full season, does he get to 1,000 yards? So, like last year, his pace, I think, was, and he missed some time, but his pace, had he played the full season, I believe, was just shy of 1,000 yards. So his pace last year was, and this is including the game where he played like one snap and got hurt. He had 500 yards in 14 games. Yeah, it wasn't 1,000 yards.
No, it definitely wasn't 1,000 yards. I wonder if they look at it and are like, Kyle, we believe in Kyle Williams still.
Yeah.
We feel like last year it wasn't so much that he couldn't have played more and couldn't have had more volume. There was just other guys in front of him. It was sort of a circumstantial thing versus like he just didn't break out early enough.
Right.
Maybe that's the way they look at it. All right, this email is from David. He said...
Hang on real quick. I finally have it. Kayshon Boutte's pace last year was 670 yards.
Yeah. But on what? He had...
On 56 targets.
So he had 56 total targets last year.
No, he had 46 total. His pace, had he played that pace all 70 games, it's a little higher.
Yeah.
Because I can't sort out that one game he got hurt. So round up a little bit. Call it about 60 catches... 700 yards, 7 touchdowns. That's a good season, but that's not... A.J. Brown's going to give you more. A.J. Brown should give you more than that.
Oh, absolutely. All right. So this is from David. He said we recently said that the top remaining needs on the team are safety, linebacker, guard, and maybe more cornerback depth after the offseason, assuming the roster remains intact going into the 2027 offseason. Would those 3 to 4 positions still be the top needs, or depending on contract situations or other positions, could you see that shift? So basically, do you think that linebacker, safety, guard, corner is the positions we're going to be talking about in February of 2027?
Linebackers, I got to just look up the, I don't know off the top of my head whose contracts are up.
So I'll just say, while you're looking that up for... I'll just say that I think that it always shifts based off of positional value. Like, I'm not going to be banging the table next offseason unless they are so set everywhere because everything hits again and like everybody's good again. The whole draft class, everything. I'm never going to sit here and say that they should draft a guard in the first round. That's just not going to be me, right? So
what if they're picking like 31st, 32nd?
I guess I could be more convinced into
All
that.
right, so what were the 4 again?
Guard, linebacker, safety, corner.
Guard, linebacker, safety, corner. Receiver might end up being a need. They just have a lot of guys expiring. Not a number 1, but they're going to need more depth.
Yeah.
Hollins, Booty, if he stays, and Pop are all on expiring contracts. Tight end, if Hunter Henry leaves, we'll see what happens with Julian Hill. You might need somebody alongside Eli Raritan. You had edge in there. You had safety in there. You had corner in there. You had linebacker. Yeah, maybe a nose tackle.
So I would just say, is Akis a hit? I don't, and by within that of Akis being a hit, in what way, right? Like, is he like a rugged, sturdy, edge-setting presence, but not really like a true sack artist?
Right.
If that's what he is, I still think the guy that can get you double-digit sacks every single season is a big need on the
I would even say if he is, even if Akis is a hit,
you still would want the other thing.
Landry's going to last year of his deal. I don't think he has guaranteed money, right? So you're talking about Draymond Jones at 30 years old, Gabe Akis, whatever happens with Braden Swinson, Elijah Ponder, I guess. That's kind of, you still need another guy.
Yeah.
You still need another guy.
So I think that this year they're kind of going to roll with those 4 or 5 guys, and it is what it is at this point. But edge rusher next offseason being sort of like, again, like a finishing piece type of thing.
Right.
Where you just get the guy, the finisher, the Matthew Judon that's going to come in and get the actual sack in the play. I still think we'll be up there. I would say defensive tackle by next offseason could be another one. I don't know what Christian Barmore's long-term future is with the team. Milton Williams is going to be a year older. What's behind those 2 guys? Does Corey Durden take a next step? Does Leonard Taylor take a next step? Does Joshua Farmer take a next step? So building depth and also maybe looking for Barmore's like kind of long-term replacement would be on that list. And then I still think corner will definitely be near the top because Carlton Davis is going to be a year older. His contract is going to be
effectively up.
Yeah. That would be what he signed a 3 or 4 year.
He signed a 3-year deal, but he has one more. He's under contract for 27, but with no guaranteed money.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I would still think that going into next offseason, corner is probably going to be pretty close to the top of the list.
Yeah.
You're going to want to get a guy in here long-term that is Christian Gonzalez's wingman. Right. And we'll see what happens with the Gonzalez contract, to be frank about that too.
Yeah, right? I mean, if they don't re-sign him, now corner's your number 1 need if they don't bring him back.
Well, let's hope we don't get to that point. We did have some Celtics questions in here
again
that we're getting very. I'm trying to find them. Getting very popular. Everybody wants our Celtics opinions. I know everybody does, but we're an hour and 42 minutes into a show on May 20th, so I think it's time. Really quickly before we get into the Celtics themselves, I have to say, what I witnessed Victor Wembanyama do the other night was probably something I've never seen in my life on a basketball court.
He was excellent.
I mean, it's not just like the stats were the stats. It was a double overtime game. So the fact that he had 40-20 in a double overtime game, he played a whole extra quarter of basketball.
Right.
But it was just like, this is an eye test thing, which I think a lot of basketball people right now are probably talking about on their podcasts. Like, to have somebody that is that big and that tall and that long, I think he's probably closer to like, they say he's 6'7", 7'6", sorry.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. I can't.
7'6". Yeah.
But I think he might be like even taller than that. And to move that smoothly, like to be that fluid and like almost move like a wing player, but at 7'6" is patently absurd. Like that is, and like I feel like I keep seeing all these comps like, oh, well, like Shaq was this dominant, or Hakeem was this dominant, or Kareem was this dominant, or Wilt was this dominant. Like, this is like the evolution of those players. Like, I loved Shaquille O'Neal growing up. I'm sure you did too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's like my favorite basketball player.
Shaquille O'Neal wasn't pulling up from 30 feet.
No, that would have been cool, though.
He was not. He could barely shoot a free throw for a lot of his career, let alone hitting a game-tying shot in the closing seconds of an overtime from 30 feet.
Right.
It was really ridiculous. That being said, I heard your boy Felger talking about this yesterday. The NBA moves really, really quickly. And I think that as a Celtics fan, I think a lot of people's takeaway from that with Wemby was like, oh God, like the San Antonio is going to control the league for the next decade. We're all screwed. I heard that about a lot of different people,
including the Celtics.
I've heard that about the Celtics. I heard about that about the Joker in Denver when he won his title. You heard that a little bit about this OKC team last year into this year, and now all of a sudden they're down 1-0 with a loss at home. It's a very, very quick moving league that changes rapidly.
The tricky thing with Wemby is going to be, and I mean, people point to he doesn't have the numbers in the regular season because he only plays 20-something minutes a night.
Yeah.
And that's part of what made that so impressive. Like, he wasn't on the floor a lot, and then he comes out, and it was 48 minutes, right? Or 49 minutes. He played essentially a full game. He only averaged 29 per game during the regular season because the thing, and this is why when he came out, like, my thing on Wemby was I don't know if he's going to live up to expectations. One, because the expectations are so astronomically high.
I'm pretty sure you were already questioning him like a year ago for not winning any playoff games.
No, that wasn't it.
No, that wasn't. I remember we were standing in the tunnel over there.
No,
we were talking about it.
My question is he going to stay healthy and have a full career? Because we've seen a lot of these massive guys.
Yao Ming.
Yao Ming, even somebody like Chet Holmgren who struggled to stay healthy. But Yao Ming, yeah, I guess that works. Like these big lanky guys.
I think the other one that really is Porzingis. Like
Porzingis is one.
Is a freaky
and I remember
athlete
there's been other guys that kind of had this makeup.
100%.
But didn't pan out. Thon Maker, Bol.
Yeah.
And they can't stay healthy because it's just physically difficult to be built that way and compete
like
this way. So that game the other night from Wembanyama was awesome. I don't mean this to knock him. It's a legitimate question, and it's going to the Spurs training staff's going to be in the front and center of this. Like, can he do that for an entire playoffs? Can he do that for 8 to 10 to 12 years? And that's what's going to be fascinating about it. None of these guys, and he might be the best version of them in terms of his skill, but none of these massive, lanky guys that have come through the NBA in the last 10 years have truly managed to stay healthy. Porzingis, I think, is about as good as you can ask. And Wembanyama's already had some injury issues.
Yes.
He got shut down last year.
Well, I mean,
which is what I was talking about
all regular season long, and I think a big reason why he wasn't quite more in the running for MVP is because he really played on a minutes restriction.
They managed the hell out of him.
Yeah.
And he only played 64 games.
He actually only played like 30 minutes a night.
And
they
that
were just
less
30 of the most impactful minutes anybody could play.
Like, that might be, and in an age where load management is such a big thing, it's going to be interesting to see how the NBA juggles this. Like, that's going to be what makes it. He might have to. That just might be his career
for the regular season.
That might be what he has to do. But okay, he played 49 minutes the other night. Like, what does the rest of the series now look like? And so
I was blown away. I texted you, I think at the end of the fourth quarter in the first overtime, he looked gassed at the end of the game.
Well, to use
and he was in the second overtime, he completely took over.
To use the phrase that you like to use, they finally let the Ferrari out of the garage.
They did. They had to. They're the only way they're going to beat OKC.
It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. When he plays, he's the best player in the league. There's nobody that can do what he does. Period. Full stop. He's the best player. He's doing things that maybe nobody ever has been able to do.
Yeah.
But again, it's just how long, both in the short term and the long term, how long is he going to be able to do that?
Yeah. I think the other thing about San Antonio that makes them so scary, though, is like, in theory, they can be like a 60-win team with Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle.
Stephon Castle can play.
Yeah.
Stephon Castle can freaking play.
In the regular season, like they need, like it's kind of like the 2024 Celtics. Like the 2024 Celtics needed Porzingis to like get over the hump.
In the playoffs, right.
Yeah, but they didn't need Porzingis to be a 65-win team in the regular season.
Right.
They needed Porzingis in June. And I think the San Antonio thing, like they're going to be very, very competitive just with those two guys, Castle and Harper, who are also super young and were also high lottery picks, and like their bench mob, that Wemby can kind of like up the minutes in the playoffs when it counts and be just fine. Here are the questions on the Celtics. Is it dumb? Number one, quick 3 questions from Aiden. Sorry. Is it dumb to switch from trading for Giannis to trading for Miles Turner, who's also on the Bucks?
I love Miles Turner. You're not trading Jaylen Brown for him.
No.
Like, that's a different trade.
Very different.
I've always liked Miles Turner's game. I think he's a good fit for what they do. He never got out of Indy. He was supposed to be here. Which trade was that they botched at the last second? No,
a million.
There's one was like reported he was here, and then something fell through at the very last second.
They have been linked to Miles Turner for as long as Miles Turner has been in the league. I feel like they've just been. He's been like one of those guys with the Celtics that every single time Miles Turner's name came up in trade rumors, it was somehow linked to the Celtics.
I would love to see Miles Turner. He's a real center, but he's modern enough. And he plays. He shows up. He plays every night.
So
I love Miles Turner.
Two things on Miles Turner. I believe, and I don't have the contract right in front of me, but I believe that he would fit into their $27 million trade exemption.
Who wouldn't?
So, well,
yeah, he signed a 4-year.
Well, a max player like Giannis wouldn't, right?
Okay, fair. He signed a 4-year, $109 million contract last year. So yeah, it's about like 27, 28
So I
million
think
a
he
year.
would fit into the trade exemption.
Yeah.
So in theory, you could add Miles Turner without sending out salary. So you could do some sort of player and picks for Miles Turner and not really give up a whole lot for him. The Bucks did this weird thing with Miles Turner where they acquired Miles Turner and like did some crazy, like they stretched Damian Lillard and they made all these moves to get Miles Turner in Milwaukee. And at least the first year of Miles Turner in Milwaukee, it was terrible. It was a disaster.
He's not a fit there.
It just didn't work.
You can't have him and Giannis on the floor at the same time.
So maybe they're looking to move Miles Turner. I think a move like that, though, I don't know if it will be Miles Turner.
Yeah.
But a move for like a true starting big man like that, preferably one that maybe fits into that $27 million trade exemption. Maybe it's a sign and trade with there are a couple of free agent centers that are going to be available. Those things actually make a lot of sense if they're not going to make like the big Jaylen Brown for Giannis splash. Like if they're just going to add to their current team a little bit, then something like a Miles Turner type trade, Gafford in Dallas, something like that would make a little bit of sense.
Sure.
Second one, if Joe doesn't change his offensive approach, does Brad Stevens, is Joe on the hot seat?
Should be. I mean, I don't know how you listen to that press conference and not think so. The Brad Stevens end of your press conference. Like, the question is going to be as if, and where I think that was going, like, if they're not making the strategic adjustments based on the roster changes they make, does Brad Stevens start to meddle? And that was the big question when Brad Stevens got promoted, whatever you want to call it, to this job. It's like, he's a coach at heart. Is he going to be too meddling? Is he going to come downstairs too much? Like, and he's been great with that. From everything we've heard, like, that's never really been an issue. But this is, there wasn't really a time for it to be an issue until now. So it's a fine line to walk. You can't, if you see things that are being done wrong, you got to fix it, but you can't totally, whatever the opposite of empower is, disempower your coach.
Yeah.
So that's going to be, you hope it doesn't get there. If it does get there, I'll be very curious to see what Brad Stevens does. That would be, that's going to be one of the more fascinating storylines this upcoming season for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you have to have, in the modern NBA, you have to have the three-pointer be a pretty big part of your offense. It doesn't need to be as big of a part as what the Celtics have made it.
This is what I go back to when you had too many threes, whatever. If you want the three ball to be your main thing, fine. You have to have something else when it's not falling. So, and they have nothing else.
So the question that I would have for Brad Stevens, and he kind of answered this a little bit at his press conference, but the question that I would have for Brad Stevens, and like not press conference Brad Stevens, like Truth Serum Brad Stevens, are the three-pointers a result of a system that they are implementing, or are the three-pointers a result of roster construction, right? Like, do they, especially the team last year, like who was scoring inside for that team last year?
Well, I would have liked they didn't have the back to the basket guy. I think they had guys, Jaylen Brown especially.
Jaylen Brown was the one guy
who were slashers who could get to. Now what Steven said is like a true rim presence, which is different,
right?
So and I think that's what he really wants.
Because like I think all these people that want like paint touches and want them to score inside. Well, like 2 years ago when they had Porzingis, like they had a guy that could do that. I don't know if the 2025, 2026 Celtics really had a player like that could do it himself. Like Nimi Keita can catch lobs and stuff like that, but he's not posting guys up and he's not Hakeem. Like he's not going to start making moves down there, right? So I think that it's a kind of a chicken or the egg thing. I think they became really 3-point happy over the last 2 seasons, partially because they really didn't have a scoring big man. Like they didn't really have an interior presence to their offense. They were a perimeter offense. So if you add that different element to it, does it naturally pivot, right? Like it's not so much about a system, like does it just naturally go in a more stable direction? Last question here is a football question, so everybody can get mad that got mad at us for talking 10 minutes of basketball in May. Here's a football question for you. If and when the Pats get AJ Brown, do you think McDaniels will move him like Edelman or play him more like Moss? Well, I think he'll play him more like Moss personally. I think Edelman.
Is that you saying that, or are you still reading the email?
No, I'm saying that. I think he'll be more. I think if they have AJ Brown and Romeo Doubs, it is a little lesser of a version of Edelman and Welker, or Welker and Moss, excuse me, where AJ Brown is Moss, Romeo Doubs is Welker, and you have an underneath like chain moving guy, and then you have like your big play guy. And the big play guy is AJ Brown, the chain moving guy is Romeo Doubs. So that's how I feel. Darius in Louisville says the subject line of this email is Evan, come on, man. So there you go. Evan, your affection and love for Patty Mahomes and Josh Allen is pretty weird, bro. I'm just saying. I would love to know, what do you think is weird about it?
Well,
like,
it's
pretty weird. Like that's a pretty vague.
You refuse.
Email.
You refuse to criticize them.
I don't refuse to criticize them. I just think they're really, really good. Is that?
Nah, you refuse to, especially Allen. You refuse to criticize, and like.
Is that a horrible thing for me to say that Josh Allen's a good quarterback?
Not historically, but entering the 2026 season, is Drake May in their class?
Not yet.
Okay, I think a lot of people would disagree.
I don't think Patrick Mahomes is in that class anymore right now. I think
fair.
To be fair, I think
Who's the best quarterback in the league?
I mean, like after the year Stafford just had, it's hard to like not put him in the conversation because normally I think that the pantheon right now is Lamar, Allen, Mahomes, Burrow. Right? Like I feel like those four guys are usually held on the S tier. Stafford.
Well, it was Brady, Rodgers, Breeze, and
Peyton.
Well, Peyton, and then I guess later on, I don't know, Rivers, whoever you want to throw in there.
So
until Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, I think that we're seeing that turnover in Burrow. We're seeing that turnover again. That's what's happening now.
So if we are going Mount Rushmores, right? Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar has definitely been for the last, let's call it 3 to 5 years
since the end of the Brady, Breeze, Rodgers era.
That's been the Mount Rushmore.
So I guess my question to you is
Matthew Stafford did he knock on the door?
He's kind of his own thing
because of his age.
Yeah. So here's my bigger question.
This is an interesting topic that we brought up with 3 minutes.
Is Pat Mahomes the only one out of those four who's won a Super Bowl since that takeover?
He's the only one that's won a Super Bowl.
But Brady was the only one of his group who won one for years and years and years.
What'd you say?
I said Hurts doesn't get thrown into that?
No.
Hurts is more
next tier.
I'm trying to think of who the Brady equipment, maybe like Joe Flacco type.
Like Hurts
Ben Roethlisberger maybe.
Hurts had a tough year last year, so it's hard to say.
I'm just saying from that group. Like, so here's my question.
No Jalen Hurts love now.
Since Mahomes, Lamar, Allen, and Burrow displaced / the retirement of Brady, Manning, Breeze, Rodgers.
Sure.
Has the next group, which is who? May, Williams,
Jaden
Daniels. I'm trying to. There's got to be one or two that weren't exactly that draft.
Like maybe like a Jordan Love or
not
Justin
Stroud
Herbert.
or Young. I think Herbert maybe. Yeah. But Herbert was the same. No, he was a little later. Like
Herbert and Tua were same draft.
Is that group? Is the Lamar, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow group? Are they still at the peak, or are they closer to getting pushed out and supplanted by the next guys? Because I think that's knocking whoever that group is.
Probably
the group led by May and Williams is knocking on the door.
I think they're in their peak right now, but they're like to your side to use a golf analogy. Are they on like hole 8 or 9 and they're about to make the turn? Like
I think they've made the turn.
So you think Mahomes might have made the turn? Because I don't know what's going on with Mahomes. Right?
What's going on with Burrow?
Well, Burrow can't stay healthy.
Well, that's part of it.
Is Burrow's Andrew Luck?
No, he's accomplished more than Andrew Luck has.
You think?
No, he kind of might be Breeze, because Breeze was banged up a lot at the end.
But Breeze won a Super Bowl.
Breeze did win a Super Bowl.
The only difference between Burrow and Andrew Luck is Andrew Luck lost his AFC Championship game and Burrow won one.
The torch is being passed.
So I think that Drake May. I think Matthew Stafford is kind of in his own.
Stafford kind of bridged the two.
He's his own grandpa, right? He's like over here somewhere in the old age home that's still awesome. I don't know where to put him.
Stafford, he's younger. He's not in the Brady, Mahomes, Breeze, Rodgers generation to me. He's younger than that, but he's obviously older than
everybody else.
Yeah, he's kind of an in-between here.
So the question is can the 2024 draft guys, right? Drake, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Can they, or is that 2025 draft? 2025.
24.
No, 25.
No, 25 is Will Campbell.
24. I had it right the first time. 24 draft. Can those three guys surpass some of these guys this year?
The 17, 18, 19 drafts.
Yeah. We'll see. But I think most people feel like Burrow, Allen, Mahomes, Jackson is like the S tier. And then Stafford's like,
I'm saying for how much longer?
Well, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I don't know what's weird about me just admitting that those guys are good at football. Is that such a problem?
You get very...
Sorry.
Sorry. You almost take pride in how good they are. It's very weird.
More like an apologist.
You act kind of proud about how good Josh Allen is. I don't understand it.
Because I was right about him. That's why.
You were right about Drake May, too. You're not acting that proud about Drake May.
Because Drake May was... I guess they were probably both pretty kind of polarizing. I feel like Josh Allen was more polarizing.
Josh Allen was more polarizing because that draft class was different.
And he also went to Wyoming.
Yeah.
All right. It's a good question, though, that we did in the last 30 seconds of the show. I wish we had gotten to that one a little bit earlier.
Hey, people who stuck around during the basketball talk got a reward.
Yeah, they did. That's true. All right. We're going to be back next week. A show announcement for next week. So the Patriots are going to have their first OTA. The media is going to be attending that first OTA. So that's going to be early afternoon, probably between like 12 and 2 when we're normally on the air. So next week's show is going to be from 3 to 5 p.m. 3 to 5 p.m. on Wednesday. Let Alex and I go out and watch practice, and then the whole show will be about recapping practice and what we saw. So that'll be fun. That'll be exciting. We actually have some like semblance of football, new football to react to. So next week's show, 3 to 5 p.m. right after the Patriots' first OTA, reacting to that Patriots' first OTA. P will be tomorrow, 12 to 2, and we'll see you guys next week here on Catch-22. Thanks for watching.
Hey, this is Deuce. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure you like us wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, make sure you follow us on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else that we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.